Chapter 1758. How on earth did the vile emperor do it? How did he manage to infiltrate to this extent? Etienne's heart skipped a beat. He knew that there must be something wrong with the medicine god temple, but he didn't expect that even such a powerful elder could be controlled. If it was like heavenly god Torrential Cloud, who was a spy sent here long ago, the significance would be different. Yao Yuli, who was as powerful as a superior heavenly god, was replaced and his soul completely changed. No wonder it was so hard to detect. After all, the soul was the most difficult to detect. If one had the bloodline of the evil spirit race in his body, he could easily detect it. However, the soul was the most difficult to detect. It could only be detected through physical contact. Yao Yuli's status was extremely high, so it was impossible for him to be touched, let alone detected. Therefore, it was not a problem for Yao Yuli to stay here. Even the powerful alchemy god would not be able to detect the slightest trace. As long as he didn't touch him, it was impossible to detect him. In particular, Yao Yuli was a true powerhouse of the medicine god temple who had existed for a long time. No one would suspect him. At least, little medicine fairy didn't suspect him at all. She was very respectful. Third elder, I'm here to pray. I heard that the patriarch will issue a decree, so I came to pray, little medicine fairy answered honestly. Yao Yuli was in charge of this area, so he knew what was going on. After learning about it, Yao Yuli smiled kindly. I see. It seems that the medicine god temple master has told you. It's not a secret, so it doesn't matter if you know. The main thing is that there won't be any response until the critical moment, so we didn't announce it to the public. It's better for us to know about such a big thing. But it doesn't matter if you know about it, just don't spread it, lest it causes some chaos. We don't want our disciples to know that they are always under the protection of the patriarch. We need to have a sense of crisis. With the protection of the god emperor, there wouldn't be any sense of crisis. But Etienne knew that it was all bullshit. Yao Yuli made it up, or to be more precise, it was made up by the evil emperor. He probably controlled everything himself. I understand this point. I will not spread it. Little medicine fairy nodded her head heavily. After hearing Yao Yuli's confirmation, she completely believed him. But what do you want to petition for? If it's serious, I can help you try. Yao Yuli maintained his kind smile, but in Etienne's eyes, it was getting more and more sinister. After all, this was the evil emperor's soul, and everything was just an act. If it weren't for fear of chaos, the medicine god temple would have been conquered by him. First, he would slowly stabilize the medicine god temple. When the outside was occupied, he would occupy the inside. Everything was so perfect. Actually, it's very simple. The evil spirit race outside is so arrogant, especially when the evil emperor brought many evil spirit races to continuously attack other forces. If this goes on, I'm afraid that the forces outside will be swallowed up. At that time, only our medicine god temple will be left, and I'm afraid that it will be swallowed up. The little medicine fairy voiced out her worries. Therefore, I have been thinking about whether or not I should go out and help them resist the evil spirit race together. After all, a long time ago, we did not go out to help, causing the outside world to always think that we are cowards, unwilling to go out to protect this world. Always let foreign enemies invade, make me feel very uncomfortable. Our medicine god temple is not a coward. The little medicine fairy repeated the discomfort in her heart again, hoping to get the understanding of the ancestor. But now listen to father, this is the order of the ancestor, let us remain neutral. Since there is a divine decree, with the protection of the ancestor, I am at ease with the situation of the medicine god temple, but I still can't solve the problem. Why do we always remain neutral? What the little medicine fairy said shocked Etienne, and his good impression of the little medicine fairy immediately soared. He thought that no one had thought about it. It turned out that someone had thought about it. Perhaps not only the little medicine fairy had thought about it. It's just that this so-called ancestor has ordered them to remain neutral, so they can't act on their own. This is the intention of the ancestor. How can we judge the intention of the ancestor? We just need to follow it and not act recklessly. Perhaps this is a change in the situation, a kind of intention to let the evil spirit race replace the outside forces. Even the ancestor can't change it. Yao Yuli's voice became stern, and he even criticized the little medicine fairy. Therefore, we only need to listen to the intention of the ancestor. Don't do anything else, so as to offend the dignity of the ancestor. Yao Yuli was extremely strict. It seemed that he was blaming the little medicine fairy for having such an idea. This kind of idea must not be allowed. After hearing this, Tianyan immediately laughed. This guy spoke righteously. If he didn't know that the deity was the evil emperor, he would really be deceived. What ancestor? It was simply a trick of the evil emperor to deceive people. Third elder, but I still want to ask the ancestor, want him to issue a divine decree and tell me the real reason. The little medicine fairy was still a little firm. She wanted to listen to it before giving up. Yao Yuli looked at her in silence for a moment, shook his head and sighed. Well, as the next temple master, you have the right to do so. Then we will ask the ancestor now. Generally speaking, the ancestor will not issue a divine decree, but you should be an exception after all. You are the next temple master. After saying that, Yao Yuli knelt down, and the little medicine fairy next to him also knelt down. Respected ancestor, the next temple master, the little medicine fairy, come forward and ask the ancestor to issue a divine decree. Tell her the reason why the medicine god temple remains neutral. Yao Yuli, as the messenger of the ancestor, began to help pray. The little medicine fairy was also extremely respectful. She really believed in it, and did not think that it was fake. After pretending for a while, Yao Yuli raised his hand slightly, and at this time, the sound transmission array inside the statue began to operate. After a moment, a divine voice came out from the statue and echoed in the hall. The next temple master, you are really quite young. Since you are here for this matter, then I will tell you the reason. The evil spirit race's attack is the will of the heavens. As long as we do not provoke them, they will not invade. Therefore, we only need to remain neutral. And when the time comes, they will divide the area for us to live, so there is no need to worry. The so-called God Emperor's voice was indeed released by the sound transmission array, and it was transmitted under Yao Yuli's control. Not only the voice, but the statue also constantly released a divine light. It was really a bit of pressure. It seemed that the sound transmission array could not only transmit sound, but also release a little power, but compared to the power of the God Emperor, it was still worlds apart. Chapter 1759. He actually said that the evil spirit race's invasion was the will of the heavens, which made Tianyan want to beat him up. This was simply bullshit. It was fate. It was quite easy to deceive people. The main thing was that it was quite effective to use this statue. Originally, the statue had always been releasing the pressure of a divine emperor, so when he heard the voice from below, it really did seem to be coming from the statue. It was very credible. If not for the fact that Tianyan already knew the situation, he would have really been deceived. The will of the heavens. The invasion of the evil spirit race was actually the will of the heavens? Ancestor, this junior really does not understand why. The little medicine fairy actually dared to ask such a question. She really had quite the guts. It seemed that the little medicine fairy's personality was like this. No matter what, she had to get to the bottom of the matter. This is a long story. This emperor only found out about the situation when he broke through to the Divine Lord realm. The evil spirit race is not an expert of this world, but an expert from the outside world. They are strong and invincible, so the best way is to obey. This is the best way. Blindly resisting will only lead to your own destruction. This emperor has been keeping you neutral for a long time. As long as you remain neutral, this emperor will be able to protect you. Otherwise, even this emperor's strength will not be able to withstand the evil spirit race's attack. These words were extremely realistic, causing the little medicine fairy to be stunned. The evil spirit race is so powerful that even the ancestors are unable to resist? Ancestor, you are a divine lord, an omnipotent divine lord. The little medicine fairy found it hard to believe that such a situation would occur. The divine lord had always been rumored to be invincible existences. No matter what kind of strong enemy they were, they could be killed in one move. Now, her own ancestor could not even deal with the evil spirit race, which was very different from what she had thought. The real situation is that the evil spirit race is stronger. They are really the will of the heavens. I can't say anything more than that. Remaining neutral is the best advice I can give you. I can't go back for the time being, so I can't protect you properly. Thus, I can only remain neutral. As for what the other powers think, you don't have to care. I believe you know the principle of survival of the fittest. Next Hallmaster. This Emperor will stop here. It won't be easy to relay the message back. If there's nothing important in the future, don't summon me again. As soon as he finished speaking, the fake voice disappeared completely, and everything returned to silence. The little medicine fairy knelt there in silence, not knowing what to say for a long time. Little medicine fairy, do you know what's going on? The attack of the evil spirit race is unstoppable. The ancestor did this to protect our medicine god temple. Yao Yuli sighed and said, "What should be clear is already clear. As for the rest, think about it carefully." Yao Yu immediately got up and left, ignoring little medicine fairy. He wanted her to think about it by herself. Before he left, the corners of Yao Yuli's mouth curled into a sinister smile as if everything was under his control. Yi Tianyan was watching from the side. He didn't expect to see the whole truth. As expected, this was all evil emperor's doing. It was all because of him. If the elders of the medicine god temple knew the truth, would they explode? Obviously, they would definitely explode, and they would hate the evil spirit race. At that time, it would be a piece of cake for them to form an alliance. How can I tell them? Yi Tianyan, who was hiding in the void, turned his eyes to the little medicine fairy. It seems that I can only take a risk and suppress this girl first. Immediately, he quietly came to the side of the little medicine fairy. The little medicine fairy seemed to be stunned, sitting in the same place, thinking about something. She could sense that there was someone behind her before, but now she couldn't feel it at all. At this time, Yi Tianyan dragged the little medicine fairy into the void. After the bloodline upgrade, it was not a problem to drag a few people in, but in terms of concealment, it was definitely not as good as him alone. What? The little medicine fairy was shocked. By the time she reacted, a surge of energy had already entered her body and sealed her from all directions. It actually temporarily suppressed a portion of her strength, causing her strength to drop from the intermediate heavenly god level to the heavenly venerable level. Although it could not completely suppress her power, suppressing it to the heavenly master level was enough to control her. "Don't be nervous," Yi Tianyan whispered in her ear. "It's you." The little medicine fairy was shocked. She knew who this voice belonged to. Wasn't it the new disciple who had brought him before? Sure enough, when Yi Tianyan turned around, she saw that familiar face. She was stupefied. To be able to enter the void, and even have the power to suppress her. How could he still be a heaven monarch? He was simply at the heaven god level, and a very strong one at that. "You are definitely not a disciple of the divine medicine temple. Who are you?" The little medicine fairy quickly calmed down. She knew that it was impossible for her to escape. Her power was suppressed to the heavenly master level. It seemed very strong, but in the face of Yi Tianyan who could suppress her power, there was no way she could struggle. "Of course I am not a disciple of the divine medicine temple. I have an identity, I don't know if you know." Yi Tianyan pulled off the mask on his face. He must have disguised himself to come in. Otherwise, he would be in trouble if he was recognized in the future. After pulling off the mask, the little medicine fairy exclaimed, "You are the lord of the heavenly cloud territory. It seems that I am quite famous. Even Princess Little Medicine Fairy knows me." Yi Tianyan smiled, not surprised. The divine medicine temple remained neutral and didn't go out, but it didn't mean that they didn't know what was going on outside. This was the same as the Fector realm. The more secluded they were, the more they needed to know what was going on outside. "Of course I know. I defeated the evil emperor and killed so many evil spirit race people. How can I not know?" The little medicine fairy's expression was still not very good. "Lord of the heavenly cloud territory, why did you sneak into our place? No matter what your purpose is, this action alone is enough to make the divine medicine temple your enemy." The little medicine fairy didn't have a good impression of Yi Tianyan at all. Originally, she had a good impression of him because he dealt with the evil emperor. now that she sneaked into the divine medicine temple. How could she still have a good impression of him? Will you really be hostile to me no matter what your purpose is? Tianyun looked at her and smiled faintly. What if I told you that it was not your ancestor who sent the message, but the evil emperor? Or that the soul of the third elder has been replaced by the evil emperor? He also set up a sound transmission array in your statue. What do you think of his purpose? Chapter 1760. Tianyun's words shocked the little medicine fairy to the point of being dumbfounded. These words were too stimulating to her, and she couldn't wrap her head around it for a moment. How is this possible? The little medicine fairy retorted after a moment, feeling that it was inconceivable. Nothing is impossible. Do you really think that your ancestor can pass down a divine decree? And even through this statue, you really have a lot of strength. Tianyun said indifferently. Of course you won't believe anything I say now. After all, there is no evidence in front of you, so you definitely won't believe me. Especially with my identity as an intruder. It's even more impossible for you to believe me. Shortly after, Tianyun grabbed her and stepped on the void to fly upwards. In the blink of an eye, they arrived behind the statue, which was also the back of the sound transmission array. The sound transmission array was in this area, and it was impossible to see through it on the surface. If it could be seen, it would have been discovered long ago. This is the statue of your ancestor. Normally, you don't even dare to show the slightest bit of disrespect, let alone destroy the statue to investigate the situation inside. Tianyun poked with his hand, causing the little medicine fairy to turn pale in fright. She wanted to stop Tianyun from destroying the statue, but how could she compare to Tianyun's speed? Tianyun poked with his hand and easily poked a small hole on the statue's surface. At the same time, he dug to the side, creating another empty area. At this time, the little medicine fairy saw that there was actually a hollow area inside. It was impossible for a statue to have a hollow area. Furthermore, it was made of extremely expensive and rare materials, so there wouldn't be a hollow area. If there was a hollow area, it was very likely that it had been modified. The area in front of her was obviously modified. She took a closer look, and then her pupil shrank. There really was a sound transmitting array in this hollow area. This sound transmission array was quite well hidden, and was even inside the statue. There were also several concealment arrays outside to conceal the aura inside to prevent it from being discovered. It was done perfectly in all aspects, but it was still discovered by Tianyun. His appraisal eyes did not have an undeserved reputation. I'm sure you've already noticed that this is the sound transmission formation. It's inside your ancestor's statue. I don't think I need to tell you how to use this thing, right? Tianyun said calmly. Of course, you can say that I secretly came here to set this up. You chose to deceive yourself and not believe me. Tianyun was an intruder, so it was possible that he was the one who set up the sound transmission formation. This was a very normal way of thinking. If that was the case, Tianyun was really helpless. I believe you. The little medicine fairy said after a moment of silence. Oh, it seems like you still believe that I didn't do it. Tianyun smiled. Indeed, if it were any other elder, they wouldn't believe you when they're angry. But I believe you. You didn't do it. After all, during this period of time, or rather for a very long time, there won't be any disciples coming to pay their respects. Only elders or attendants are qualified to enter. The little medicine fairy looked at him and said, although you can disguise yourself and enter, you still can't achieve the same appearance as the elders, and your aura can't be similar. Especially since this is a big project, it's not easy to complete. There's only one possibility to deceive the guards and the third elder, who is in charge of this area. It's either the inside or the third elder. The little medicine fairy's analysis was very reasonable. Other than a few attendants, the only other person in charge of the statue's maintenance was the third elder, Yao Yuli. Yao Yuli was the most in charge of this aspect, so it could be said that the statue was under his maintenance. Looks like this saves me a lot of trouble. I originally came here to investigate the reason. I wanted to investigate why you didn't form an alliance, and why you didn't resist the evil spirit race. It wasn't because you wanted to snatch something or possess something. Yi Tianyan said with a smile. Now it seems that you've been tricked by the evil spirit race, and you've been playing with them all this time. When you really believe these words and choose to be neutral, at that time when the evil spirit race completely occupies it, I'm afraid they will completely swallow you all. The little medicine fairy's beautiful eyes were already filled with anger. If that was really the case, they had been deceived for so long and had even been disguised as their ancestor. Just thinking about it made them incomparably angry. I already believe this sound transmission array. It can be considered a great piece of evidence. However, the third elder's soul would be replaced by the evil emperor? One must know that the third elder is extremely powerful and has almost never gone out. Especially being possessed by a soul, this is even more difficult. The little medicine fairy was even more puzzled about this and found it hard to believe. Almost never gone out. These words are not absolute, right? It means that he will still go out. Yi Tianyan said indifferently. Think about it carefully. Did the third elder return for a period of time, or something like that? The third elder hasn't returned for a long time. The little medicine fairy carefully recalled. After a moment, her expression became more and more unsightly. Before the first battle of the God Emperor, he seemed to have gone out for a period of time. If you add up the time, it will not exceed half a year. In less than half a year, his soul will be successfully possessed and it will be so perfect. Is this possible? Nothing is impossible. There is a great formation called the time formation. In half a year, it might be expanded to a few years, a few decades, or even 100 years. Yi Tianyan said in a deep voice. However, this is not considered evidence. If you really want to see evidence, you will have to investigate his soul. As long as you investigate his soul, you will be able to find out everything. It should be said that if you investigate a little, you don't even need to search his memories to know what his soul is. The evil emperor's soul could be easily probed. There was no need to search any memories. After sensing the aura of the soul, she found that it corresponded to the evil emperor's soul. This is a kind of blasphemy. If it isn't, it will be very troublesome. How did you find out? None of us could. The little medicine fairy was very calm. She did not dare to act recklessly. Probing the soul was a very private matter. It could not be casually probed. That would be very disrespectful. If I said that I relied on my eyes, would you believe me? Yi Tianyan said with a faint smile. Of course, I think you definitely won't believe me. After all, even your father and so many elders couldn't see through it. How could an outsider like me see through it? However, I can guarantee with my life that this is absolutely the case. If I lie, I will never be able to reincarnate. Chapter 1761. You can tell. Little medicine fairy was a little puzzled. Even her father could not tell. Yi Tianyan's cultivation was not as strong as her father's. How could he tell? This made her feel a little skeptical. However, when she heard Yi Tianyan swear, she believed him a little more. Yes, I can see that. Besides, you said before that other than Yao Yuli, it is very difficult for anyone to make a move here. You should be able to guess the reason. Yi Tianyan said. Little medicine fairy pondered for a moment before saying, All right, but I do need you to cooperate with me in order to expose him. Correspondingly, your life will be in danger. You have to think about this carefully. If there is no problem after the investigation, I'm afraid it will be difficult for you to leave. I've already thought it through. As I said earlier, if there is any falsehood, I will never be able to reincarnate. However, it's useless to say these words. If there is any falsehood, I will be at your disposal. Yi Tianyan said resolutely. I am the leader of the alliance, the domain master of the three realms' divine realm. Just this identity alone is enough to have some weight, right? The evil emperor's soul could be sensed with just a little investigation. There was no difficulty at all. Therefore, it was impossible to hide. As long as he investigated slightly, the truth would be revealed. However, this process would not be smooth. In order to prevent himself from being investigated, the evil emperor would definitely do all kinds of things to prevent himself from being investigated. He would have to rely on little medicine fairy's help. At that time, not to mention investigating, the medicine god would probably slap him to the ground. If this doesn't have weight, then I really don't know who does. After Little Medicine Fairy finished speaking, she thought for a while and nodded. All right, it's decided then. Now that you said it, I really believe you. If that's really the case, then it's an extremely serious matter. At that time, we and the evil spirit race will not rest until we are dead. The evil spirit race had not only deceived them, but also blasphemed their ancestor. They even pretended that their ancestor had given them an order, which made them extremely angry. Not giving up until one of them was dead was considered light. If they didn't completely destroy them, they probably wouldn't give up. Alright, then I'll pretend to leave now and come back to visit. You'll be the one to introduce me to the Medicine God Palace Lord. Tianyan immediately finalized the plan. He had to get the Little Medicine Fairy to cooperate in order to carry out these steps. Otherwise, if he had come alone to visit, let alone this main hall, he probably wouldn't even be able to enter any of the better temples. The rules were as such. A neutral existence would not talk to the other domain masters. At most, they could come into exchange for some resources. Apart from that, there was basically nothing they could do. Therefore, even if he knew the secret, he still needed to see the person before he could reveal the situation. If he spouted nonsense outside, he would probably be chased out. The Little Medicine Fairy nodded, looked at him and said, "Then you should leave now." "Little Princess Yao Xian, are you not going to help me leave?" Tianyan shrugged and said, "With your help, I can save a lot of effort. Otherwise, it would take me a lot of effort to get out slowly. It's not that simple to enter." He couldn't use the teleportation godstone to leave directly. There were circles of energy surrounding the Medicine God Palace. It was difficult to use the teleportation godstone to leave. Otherwise, he wouldn't have said that. The Little Medicine Fairy was stunned and said in a daze, "Seeing how you sneaked in so easily, I thought you could leave as well." After a while, Tianyan released the Little Medicine Fairy and transferred him to the Little Medicine Fairy's space. This was the best way to get out of this place. The Little Medicine Fairy brought him directly to the outside area. The journey was naturally smooth and no one stopped her. It wasn't that everyone couldn't leave. Empyrean-level existences could still enter and leave as they pleased. Those with too low a cultivation level wouldn't be allowed to leave. The Medicine God Palace didn't have much contact with the outside world, but it didn't mean that no one could leave. After all, there were many things that the Medicine God Palace didn't have. They could only go out and search for them. All right. After the Little Medicine Fairy released Tianyan, she stared at him and said, "This is the general plan. There might be changes in the process. When the time comes, it will depend on our ability to adapt. If you're right, then the Medicine God Palace will completely change. If you're wrong, then the Medicine God Palace won't change and you'll die." The Little Medicine Fairy wasn't worried that Tianyan would escape. Since she had already said so, she believed that Tianyan definitely wouldn't escape. "In your heart, do you hope that this matter is true or false?" Tianyan asked. "It's true." The Little Medicine Fairy replied without even thinking. "I don't want the Medicine God Palace to remain neutral. I don't want the world I live in to be invaded by enemies from the outside world. Therefore, I hope that this matter is true and that the evil spirit race is lying to us." This so-called neutrality had reduced their interactions. Many disciples could only stay in the Medicine God Palace and had no way of contacting the outside world. This made the Little Medicine Fairy very puzzled. She even felt that it was very unreasonable. However, this was the wish of her ancestor. She could only choose to obey. Now that she knew that everything was caused by the evil spirit race, perhaps this was an opportunity for change. The final effect would definitely be extremely disgusting. After being deceived by the evil spirit race for so long, how could she not feel disgusted? Correspondingly, it would bring about a complete change to the Medicine God Palace. The Little Medicine Fairy would fiercely thank the evil spirit race. Naturally, the way to repay them was to completely destroy the evil spirit race. "All right, as you wish." Tianyan indicated for the Little Medicine Fairy to return first. The plan would begin later. The Little Medicine Fairy nodded and turned around to return. After a period of time, Tianyan flew to the entrance. Just as he arrived at the entrance, he was immediately stopped by the guards. "Who are you?" The guards sized him up with a vigilant expression. "Don't be nervous. I'm here to make a deal," Etienne said with a faint smile. "It's a very simple spiritual medicine transaction. This should be fine, right?" "Which faction do you belong to?" the guard asked as a matter of routine. "Divine Realm of the Three Realms," Etienne said truthfully. "Divine Realm of the Three Realms?" The guards were startled, but they still nodded and said, "All right, come in." As long as they were not from the evil spirit race, they could basically enter at will. In any case, they were all here to make a deal. Especially when it was only Etienne alone. It was impossible for him to overturn the heavens, right? Therefore, there were definitely not many people who could enter to make a deal. Only a small number of people could enter to make a deal. More than 5 people were basically not allowed to enter. Etienne easily entered, and was then brought to the trading hall. It was specially set up near the entrance. There was no need to enter the 5 mountains at all. It was just at the outermost area. Chapter 1762. In this trading hall, the people who received Etienne were naturally some deacons. They came up to him and asked him directly, "Welcome, Lord Tianyan. What do you want to exchange for?" The deacon who came was very polite and looked up and down at Etienne. The domain lord of the Three Realms Divine Realm was Etienne, and he was very famous in the entire Divine Realm. After all, not only was he the Alliance Master, but he also defeated the evil Emperor. All these achievements were amazing. They had to pay more attention to such a famous territorial lord. They wanted to see what kind of existence the legendary Tianyan territorial lord was. "Actually, I don't want to exchange for anything. I just want to see the drug god and form an alliance with you." Etienne directly stated his intention. After hearing this, the deacon's face suddenly sank. "Lord Tianyan, didn't you understand the rules of the Medicine God Temple before you came here? The Medicine God Temple does not accept any alliance, and will only remain neutral. If you want to discuss something like an alliance, I'm very sorry, but please leave." "What about just seeing the Medicine God Temple Master?" Etienne asked with a smile. "No, unless you have some extremely precious treasures, you can't see him." The deacon shook his head and said, "Of course I have extremely precious treasures. Please take me to see the drug god." Etienne smiled. "What precious treasures are you talking about? Please take it out and let us have a look before we make a decision." The deacon still refused to let Etienne go. He had to identify it in person. It showed that there was still a chance to see the drug god, but he needed to take out some rare treasures. Of course, it was possible that the one who would see him in the end would only be one of the elders, not the drug god. Of course, even if he really saw the drug god, he could directly say that there was something wrong with the statue or Yao Yuli, and he would be slapped away. No one would believe his nonsense, especially the other forces. "What about the reincarnation grass of life and death?" Etienne casually made up a treasure. Reincarnation grass of life and death. Their expressions changed, and they became a little excited. "Then, can the Tianyan region lord take it out for us? As long as you see the reincarnation grass, you can immediately go see the alchemy god." The reincarnation grass of life and death was extremely rare. Legend had it that after consuming it, even if one died, they would be able to reincarnate with their memories and be reborn. This meant an extra life, so it was naturally an extremely rare treasure. Of course he didn't. He was just making it up. The deacon also wanted him to take it out for a look. Otherwise, he would not let him go. "You don't have the right to see it. If you show it, it will cause the spiritual energy of the reincarnation grass to leak out." "It's not worth it," said Etienne, shaking his head. "But this is a necessary rule. If you don't show it." "Reincarnation grass? Do I have the right to see it?" At this time, the little medicine fairy walked over from the side with an indifferent expression. "I'm an elder here and also the next hall master. It shouldn't be a problem for me to take a look, right? Princess Little Medicine Fairy." When the deacons saw the little medicine fairy, they all stood to the side respectfully. "Oh, so you're the next hall master. Of course, that's not a problem." Tianyan said readily. Then follow me to the appraisal. The little medicine fairy smiled and gestured for Tianyan to follow her. The other deacons looked at each other and naturally did not stop them. The little medicine fairy's authority was higher than theirs. She could do whatever she wanted, so it was not a problem for her to do the appraisal. Then they went to the appraisal room and came out after a while. There's no problem with the appraisal. I will now bring him to the hall master of the medicine temple. When they were outside, the little medicine fairy would not call the alchemy godfather, but the hall master of the medicine temple. The deacons nodded and looked at Tianyan with shining eyes. They did not expect Tianyan to really have the reincarnation grass of life and death. It was an extremely rare item. Judging from its rarity, it could probably be exchanged for very good treasures, or other spiritual medicines and the like. According to the grade, the reincarnation grass was equivalent to the 8th level, close to the 9th level. It was quite heaven-defying. The 9th level was the highest level in this world, but it only existed in legends. In fact, this was just a plan they had arranged before. First, they used the reincarnation grass as the starting point, and then the little medicine fairy would come to appraise it. In this way, they could naturally bring people up. Otherwise, they would not be able to bring people up at will. Even the little medicine fairy would have to give others an explanation. Along the way, the little medicine fairy did not say a word to Tianyan. She just led him to the medicine temple. When they arrived at the medicine temple, the elders were very puzzled when they saw unfamiliar faces. Why would an outsider come to the medicine temple? After the little medicine fairy's explanation, they suddenly realized that they had come with the reincarnation grass. That was the most important thing. So many elders were asking about it as soon as they returned. This was just as they had expected. If they wanted to come in and cooperate with the act, they had to be prepared. At this time, the elders all came to see the reincarnation grass with their own eyes. It's the reincarnation grass. I haven't seen it in years. I wonder who will take it. I think the first elder might take it. After all, it's difficult for him to break through, and there are some shortcomings that can't be fixed. It would be best if he could be reincarnated. That's possible for the first elder. That's great. With the reincarnation grass, the first elder might be able to break through and become the next god emperor after the medicine temple master. But if that's the case, Princess Little Medicine Fairy, they whispered to each other. After a while, they suddenly thought of the Little Medicine Fairy's situation. The first elder's advantage was obvious. He was also a super genius. He could have become the temple master, but due to some shortcomings, he could only remain as an elder. If he could be reincarnated, it would be different. He would definitely be able to break through again, and have a higher chance of becoming a god emperor than the Little Medicine Fairy. In this way, the Little Medicine Fairy really had no chance of becoming the temple master. Tianyan almost laughed out loud. If the first elder knew about this, he would definitely be overjoyed. But the truth was that there was no reincarnation grass. If he knew the truth, he would probably vomit blood. Only in this kind of situation could the many elders follow up to the end. This was just as they had planned. They needed more spectators. Chapter 1763. As more and more elders arrived, it could be said to be a majestic sight. All of them wanted to see the true appearance of the grass of life and death again. At the same time, they were happy for the great elder. If the great elder had the reincarnation grass, he would definitely improve a lot. It was a pity for the Little Medicine Fairy, but it was not a bad thing for the Medicine God Temple to have one more expert. In terms of ability, the great elder was indeed better than the Little Medicine Fairy. In terms of physique, the great elder was not as good as the Little Medicine Fairy. It was not because of the medicine god's body. However, the position of a hall master was not something that could be fulfilled just by relying on one's physique. There were still many things needed, such as prestige and various aspects of talent. For example, the great elder had already touched the threshold of the emperor god, but he took the wrong path. Unless he could start over, it would be difficult for him to become an emperor god. Just this point alone was enough. Wasn't becoming an emperor god more important than the medicine god's body? Therefore, when they saw the reincarnation grass, they all wanted to have a look. Under the lead of the little medicine fairy, they passed through the passage and came to the area where the statue was. If they wanted to see the medicine god, they had to pass through the statue. After all, the statue stood in the central area, and if they wanted to go deeper, they had to pass through this area. When they came to this area, Tianyan stopped and did not continue to walk forward. Hey, wait a minute. Tianyan reached out and motioned for them to stop. Lord Tianyan, what's the matter? The little medicine fairy also stopped and looked at him with a puzzled face. I feel that there is something wrong with this statue. I don't know if my feeling is wrong. Tianyan said with a frown. Impossible. This is the statue of my ancestor. How could there be something wrong with it? Lord Tianyan, if you say that, it is disrespectful to our ancestor. The little medicine fairy's voice became serious, and she looked a little displeased. Her acting was so realistic that Tianyan could not help but want to pat her thigh and praise her for her good acting skills. It seemed that she was really angry at him. After hearing this, the other elders were also very dissatisfied with Tianyan. Yes. What are you saying? What's wrong with the statue of our ancestors? If you say that, you are being disrespectful to us. That's right. Heavenly Cloud Territorial Lord, even if you're powerful, you can't be so rude. What's wrong with our ancestors' statue? Could it be that it's fake? One by one, the elders gathered around, all wanting Tianyan to give an explanation. What happened? At this moment, Yao Yuli walked out. Seeing the group of elders here, he felt very puzzled. But when he saw Tianyan, his face darkened and he blurted out, "It's you." These words immediately attracted the attention of Tianyan and the little medicine fairy. The other elders did not feel that anything was wrong. What, me? Elder, have you seen me before? Tianyan squinted at him. There was no doubt that a very simple sentence had exposed him. The little medicine fairy also heard it. She was very sure that Yao Yuli could not have seen Tianyan. Even if he had heard of Tianyan, it was impossible for him to have seen Tianyan. Even if he had really seen Tianyan, what did he mean by shouting these words? Just these two simple words allowed her to understand a lot of things. In her heart, she believed Tianyan's words a little more. She felt that Yao Yuli had really been replaced. I haven't seen you before, but I have seen you on some records. You are the domain lord of the three realms, quite famous. I didn't expect that the domain lord of the three realms would also come to our medicine temple as a guest. Yao Yuli smiled slightly, and his expression returned to normal. Everything was so watertight. It seemed that he had explained it, but he could not hide the surprise he had before. So that's how it is. Tianyan smiled indifferently and shifted his gaze to the statue and said, "What I want to say is very simple. I feel that something is wrong inside the statue, like there is a special kind of energy fluctuation inside the statue, like there is a special kind of energy fluctuation. I am very sensitive to the fluctuations of the type of array, so I feel that there seems to be some array inside the statue." Impossible. There is no array inside our statue. It is nonsense. If we carve an array on the statue of our ancestors, it is a blasphemy to our ancestors. Immediately an elder retorted, thinking that Tianyan's words were very unreliable. On the other hand, Yao Yuli's face became very ugly. "Oh, I have this kind of feeling. If you don't believe it, I just mentioned it casually. Under normal circumstances, there is no array inside the statue, and it is indeed a kind of blasphemy. But I feel that there is an array. If you don't believe me, you can explore it." Tianyan shrugged. "Can the domain lord of Tianyan guarantee it?" Little medicine fairy said sternly. "This is a kind of blasphemy. If there is no array, you are being rude to our ancestors." "Of course, I can guarantee it. If you don't believe me, you can go and see for yourself." Tianyan gestured for them to explore it. "Okay, I will go and explore it now." Little medicine fairy was ready to fly up to explore the statue. At this time, Yao Yuli quickly stopped in front of little medicine fairy and said sternly, "How dare you? I didn't expect the domain lord of Tianyan to be such a person. Princess Little Medicine Fairy, you must not pay attention to him. This is a kind of blasphemy to our ancestors. The ancestor's statue cannot be touched. It is a kind of blasphemy to our ancestors. Looking at Yao Yuli's nervous expression, Tianyan wanted to laugh. He said it so righteously, but in the end, he just didn't want others to know. Little Medicine Fairy's heart was cold. From Yao Yuli's words, he was completely sentenced to death. Even if she didn't explore his soul, she was sure it was true. After all, she already knew that there was a sound-transmitting array above. Looking at Yao Yuli's nervous expression, there must be something fishy. Third Elder, I don't intend to touch it. I just want to fly up and check. If there is no array, the domain lord of Tianyan must apologize. Little Medicine Fairy said sternly. I will go up and check. I have always been in charge of this place. Yao Yuli didn't dare to let Little Medicine Fairy go up. Seeing that she insisted on going up, he could only stop her. There is no need to trouble the Third Elder. I brought him here, so I will handle it. Little Medicine Fairy said nothing and turned to fly up to the statue. Yao Yuli hurriedly wanted to stop her, but it was too late. Little Medicine Fairy quickly flew up and explored all the way up. Finally, she came to the back of the sound-transmitting array. When she was about to break it, Yao Yuli stopped in front of her and said in a deep voice, Princess Little Medicine Fairy, it seems that you don't believe me. As the guardian of the ancestor's statue, I must be the one to check. Chapter 1764. Third Elder, you are indeed the manager of the statue, but this statue doesn't belong to you. It belongs to everyone. Just because you are in charge of this place doesn't mean that you are in charge of everything. Can I check the statue now? Little Medicine Fairy's tone was extremely cold. She was already convinced that Yao Yuli was the evil emperor. However, there was no evidence, and the other elders didn't believe it, so they had to do what they had to do. No, this is blasphemy against the ancestors. Yao Yuli refused to give in and stopped Little Medicine Fairy from checking the statue. What a joke. I just want to check the condition of the statue. Why can't I check the status of the statue for the ancestors? I believe that all the elders here understand that we respect the statue very much, but it doesn't mean that touching it will be blasphemous. Third Elder, you are wrong. Little Medicine Fairy's tone was cold as she stared at him. Yes, Third Elder, if Princess Little Medicine Fairy wants to check, then let her check. After all, Heavenly Cloud Domain Lord was brought here by Princess Little Medicine Fairy. It would be best for her to solve this matter. Checking the ancestor's statue is far from blasphemy, right? So every time the disciples come up to touch it and pray, it is blasphemy? That's right, Third Elder has gone too far. The ancestor built this statue not only to let us remember it, but also because he wanted to be with us forever. All the elders were puzzled. Even if Yao Yuli was the guardian, he couldn't say that, right? It was like an alchemy boy in a herb garden. He could always manage the herb garden, but the elders couldn't even go in and pick the spirit herbs. Yao Yuli's expression turned ugly. He didn't expect to be forced to this extent. He could only say in a deep voice, All right, Princess Little Medicine Fairy, feel free to check it. Thank you, Third Elder. Little Medicine Fairy began to check along the way, and quickly locked onto the area behind the Third Elder. The area where Yao Yuli was standing was right in front of the sound transmission array. It was obvious that he deliberately blocked this area. Third Elder, please step aside. There is still one place that we have yet to inspect. Little Medicine Fairy signaled Yao Yuli to leave. Okay. Yao Yuli stood to the side. He could not stop Little Fairy Medicine from inspecting, otherwise he would feel guilty. He only hoped that the Little Medicine Fairy wouldn't be able to find out. With so many concealing formations there, as long as they weren't heaven-defying, they could be shielded. But the Little Medicine Fairy had already seen it. How could she not sense it? There's some energy fluctuation here. Little Medicine Fairy stretched out her hand and poked forward. With a dong sound, that fragile surface was blasted apart, revealing the sound transmission array inside. Before Tianyan left, he had specially rearranged it, making it look exactly the same as before. Thus, this was the second time he had destroyed it. What? There really is a formation inside. After a brief inspection, they could clearly see that there was a sound transmission array inside the statue. Third Elder, why is there a sound transmission array here? Little Medicine Fairy turned her head to look at Yao Yuli and said in a deep voice. Yao Yuli also revealed a shocked expression. Looking at the sound transmission array, he said, I don't know. All this time, I have only done simple maintenance and did not carefully inspect the interior. I didn't expect that there would be a formation inside. Could it be that it was set up by our ancestor? Yi Tianyan sneered as he watched from below. This heretical emperor was really good at acting. Did he think that he could completely clear his name just like that? Third Elder, it seems that your memory is a little off. This statue was erected after our ancestor passed away to commemorate him. At that time, our ancestor had already left, so how could we have set up a sound transmission array? What a joke! Little Medicine Fairy sneered. She had already begun to be vigilant, and was prepared to seize it at any time. From the correspondence of the information, it was extremely inaccurate. No hall master would erect a statue for themselves. This was similar to Yi Tianyan, who would not allow others to erect statues for him. Only those who were extremely fond of authority would erect statues for their people to revere. At least, the ancestor of the sacred medicine hall did not like this. It was only after he left that the next hall master would erect a statue. No matter what, the ancestor was a god emperor, so it must be remembered. Therefore, they specially took a treasure left by the ancestor and embedded it in the statue so that it could emit the majesty of a god emperor. But now, Yao Yuli said that it was left by the ancestor. Wasn't this a joke? It was not that Yao Yuli said something wrong, but when he took over Yao Yuli's body, there was a slight deviation in his memory, so he did not devour all of his memories. I remembered wrongly, but I really don't know what happened. Yao Yuli smiled. If it wasn't for Princess Little Medicine Fairy, I really wouldn't have known that there was a sound transmission array here. Third Elder, that's not quite right. You have always been in charge of the statue, and after it was built, you have been in charge of it. You don't even know that? Little Medicine Fairy looked at him coldly and said, I suspect that this sound transmission array was set up by you. Yao Yuli, also known as the Evil Emperor, would be a fool if he still did not know the situation. However, he did not panic and maintained a calm expression. Princess Little Medicine Fairy, don't you think that's too much? What evidence do you have to prove that I set up this sound transmission array? Yao Yuli said in a deep voice. I have been here to protect the statue. How can you say that I set it up? That's too unjust. Besides, I have been out. Maybe it was another elder or someone else who set it up. Isn't it too presumptuous to say that I set it up? The evil emperor would definitely not admit it easily. Whoever admitted it would be a fool. The other elders began to whisper. That was true. Yao Yuli did not stay here all the time, so there was still a chance for others to set it up. But what was the point of setting it up? However, many people had already sensed a little. With this sound transmission array, wouldn't it be the same as using the ancestor's statue to transmit messages? While they were making all sorts of guesses, Yi Tianyan stood up and said, Third Elder, why do I sense a familiar aura from your body? What aura? Yao Yuli looked over impatiently. Right now he wanted nothing more than to slap Yi Tianyan to death. Right now he was stuck between a rock and a hard place, and he had to use all sorts of methods to cover it up. Especially when it came to transmitting messages. He was afraid that he would not be able to do it in the future. The aura of the evil emperor. I sense the aura of that old rival from your body. May I know what's going on? Yi Tianyan directly threw out a heavy bomb that completely exploded among the elders. Chapter 1765. What did you say? The elders looked at Yi Tianyan in shock. They couldn't believe what Yi Tianyan had just said. They could sense the evil emperor's aura from Yao Yuli. What was going on? Could it be that Yao Yuli had a great battle with the evil emperor? But that didn't make sense. If there had been a great battle, they would know. I sense the evil emperor's aura from your third elder. It seems to come from a deeper area, such as here. Yi Tianyan pointed at his head and smiled. It should come from his soul. I wonder if the third elder had a great battle with the evil emperor recently. Bullshit. Yao Yuli said angrily. I have been staying here all this time. Where did the evil emperor's aura come from? We kindly invited you here, but you are slandering me. Slander you? Yi Tianyan said indifferently. I'm just telling the truth, just like the sound transmission array. I sensed something strange here, so I told you. In the end, it really happened. Now I sensed my old friend's aura, and it came from your soul. Usually, when this happens, you are either being controlled or possessed. I wonder which one you are? Everything was under his control. He had planned everything in detail before he came here. The evil emperor was definitely resisting and denying everything, but it was meaningless. Everything was going according to his plan, and everything was progressing smoothly. Speaking of which, the fact that our ancestor is able to release the divine decree all this time, I feel like it has something to do with this voice transmission formation. Perhaps someone is controlling the voice transmission formation, pretending to be our ancestor and giving us orders. The manager of this place is the third elder. The Heavenly Cloud Territory Lord said that you have the evil emperor's aura, and the evil emperor told us to avoid the evil spirit race. As the manager, we don't know that there is a sound transmission array here. If we check it carefully, we can sense it. We respect the evil emperor, so we don't check it. As the guardian, we don't know that we are being manipulated. How do you explain that? The elders who had heard the divine edict stood up one by one. Only a few elders with high positions knew about the divine edict. They began to have great doubts about Yao Yuli. You actually believe the words of an outsider? Can you believe it? He wants to divide us and destroy our relationship. Yao Yuli stared coldly at Yi Tianyan and said, If you don't have any proof, then you are slandering me. It was also an insult to the medicine god shrine. If you don't give us an explanation, our medicine god temple will be irreconcilable with the three realms god realm. Evidence. There's no evidence. Yi Tianyan said calmly, I'm just saying that I'm relying on my intuition. I can sense the evil emperor's aura from your body. I don't have any proof. You don't have any evidence, yet you're still making irresponsible remarks. Yao Yuli flew into a rage and said, What do you take this place for? Food can be eaten indiscriminately, but words can't be said indiscriminately. You slandered me. If you don't give me an explanation today, don't even think about leaving. Even if you are the lord of the Tianyan region, you have to stay here. Otherwise, people will think that the medicine god shrine is really weak. In a few words, he turned the spearhead to Yi Tianyan, which was really sharp. Especially the last sentence, it stung their hearts. For a long time, the outside world had an extremely bad evaluation of the medicine god shrine. After all, the evil spirit race had invaded for so long, but they didn't do anything and were even called cowards. If people said that the reason why the medicine god shrine remained neutral was that they were too weak, it would be even more shameful, which was not the result they wanted. Yi Tianyan's expression was indifferent. I don't have any evidence, but I can check your soul. If not only will I give you the reincarnation grass with both hands, but I will also let the three realms god realm become your vassal. What do you think of that? Originally, some elders wanted to say a few more words, but when they heard Yi Tianyan's words, they were all dumbfounded. If not, then they would really get a lot of things. Not only the reincarnation grass, but also the three realms god realm. This was really a big deal. Not to mention anything else. Just the reincarnation grass alone was enough to pay the price. No matter what, this thing was extremely precious. It was not a big deal to check the condition of the soul. Third elder, please examine it. If it's not, then we'll have made a huge profit. In theory, just the reincarnation grass alone is worth paying a corresponding price. They all nodded. Originally, they were a little suspicious of the third elder, but now they all turned their attention to the reward. Although they suspected Yao Yuli, they still didn't believe that Yao Yuli was controlled by the evil emperor. Yao Yuli's expression immediately became ugly. He shouted, How can this be? This is a matter of dignity. How can we put down our dignity just because of the reincarnation grass? You can do it, but I can't. The ancestors have said before that we can have no resources, but we can't have no dignity. Yao Yuli's words made sense. At the end of the day, he was unwilling to let his soul be checked. All the elders exchanged glances and agreed with one another. Searching one's soul was indeed very rude. Is it really because of your dignity, or are you really controlled? Yi Tianyan sneered. Now is not a matter of dignity, but whether my words are right or not. Don't fool people with these words. Let the drug deity check it. If not, I will pay the corresponding price. Yi Tianyan's words immediately woke up the elders present. The point was indeed to check whether Yao Yuli was controlled, not the problem of dignity. If they didn't check it, then there was a ghost. Well, let me check it. At this time, a figure walked in from outside the door. This person was Little Medicine Fairy's father, the drug deity. The drug deity walked out of the passage with an indifferent expression, but his eyes were fixed on Yao Yuli. The drug deity hadn't appeared for so long, not because he was busy, but because he had been watching from the side. Now that this situation had occurred, he had to stand up. He was even more shocked about the sound transmission array. He didn't expect to find it after praying for so long. Medicine God Temple Master, even you don't believe me? Yao Yuli shouted hysterically. This is not a matter of believing or not, but a matter of making the Tianyan domain lord give up. Can't you let me check it? The drug deity stared at him with a burning gaze. He had some doubts in his heart. When he saw the sound transmission array, he had doubts. Even if Yi Tianyan didn't say it, the drug deity wanted to check it. Yao Yuli closed his eyes in pain. After a moment, he slowly opened his eyes and said, "Come on, I hope that after the check, the Medicine God Temple Master will give me justice. And the Tianyan Domain Lord, I hope you can remember your promise." Chapter 1766. Yao Yuli directly stood to the side and motioned for the drug god to come and investigate. He looked sanctimonious and was not afraid of inspection at all. He had a feeling that he was innocent and was not afraid of anyone's inspection. Just now he had been refusing as if it was for his own dignity. This was enough to deceive the other elders, but it was meaningless to Yi Tianyan. The appraisal I would not be the least bit false. No matter how deep it was hidden, it could be detected. If he could not detect it, there was only one possibility, and that was that his level was not high enough. Now that his level was maxed out, if he could not even see this, then he was not a product of this world. Don't worry, as long as it's not, I will fulfill my promise. You can rest assured about this. Yi Tianyan smiled faintly. He could not fulfill his promise. After all, he would not make a mistake. Then he motioned for the drug god to go forward and investigate. Everything was for the drug god to investigate. If the drug god chose to cover up, then he had nothing to say. If he chose to cover up, then he would not fulfill his promise and would personally verify it. Of course, he believed that the drug god would never cover up. How could he cover up such a big traitor here? Unless the drug god was also from the evil spirit race. However, the appraisal I did not show that he was from the evil spirit race. Third elder, if you really are fine, I will seek justice for you. The drug god slowly walked in the direction of the third elder. The other elders nodded silently. If it was really not, then they would also stand up for the third elder. It was just that they had to get an explanation now. Yi Tianyan's previous judgment was too accurate. He could even sense the sound transmission array. They just did not know if it was accurate this time. If it was accurate, then the drug god came in front of the third elder and reached out to grab the third elder's head. To investigate the state of the soul, he naturally had to touch the head. When he was about to grab it, Yao Yuli suddenly showed a ferocious expression and roared, "Go to hell!" In the next second, Yao Yuli's body rapidly expanded, and the power that had long been compressed to the extreme was released from his body. Boom! A terrifying energy explosion swept out in all directions, and the first to bear the brunt was the drug god. The closer he was, the more he had to bear. Everything happened so suddenly that almost no one could react, including Yi Tianyan. Yi Tianyan's appraisal, I was able to see it in advance, but Yao Yuli's self-detonation didn't even need to accumulate energy. It could erupt immediately. This was most likely a great formation that had been buried long ago. It could instantly trigger its strongest effect and detonate him. Without a doubt, this was a move that he would use when he was seen through. In any case, if he were to be caught, he would be killed, tortured, or soul-searched. Thus, He might as well just bury the formation in his body. Before he was caught, he would immediately self-destruct. At that moment, Tianyan reacted quickly and cast his strongest skill. Super healing for all and invincibility for himself. At the same time, he grabbed the little medicine fairy and dodged to the side. Of course, he couldn't hide too far away, and could only use his body to block for the little medicine fairy. As for the others, he couldn't block it and could only help the little medicine fairy block it. After all, the little medicine fairy was the closest to him, and her cultivation was relatively low, so her defense was weaker. And the most crucial point was that she was important enough. Protecting the little medicine fairy was equivalent to an absolute alliance. Seal. The drug god's speed was equally astonishing. With a backhand slap, a terrifying power was released from his body and enveloped Yao Yuli's body. However, he wasn't fully prepared. The power that had just been sealed was instantly broken, and the released power continued to sweep out in all directions. The rest of the elders had a few more seconds to react and immediately released their strongest defense to block this wave of attack. However, the power of this explosion was too strong. It was unknown how many energy crystals the evil emperor had buried in Yao Yuli's body. After the explosion, the most terrifying effect was released in one go, and it was definitely equivalent to the strongest attack of a demigod emperor. This was with a very strong area of effect, and the overall power was even more terrifying. The drug god, who was standing at the front, was directly blown away, and the situation was unknown. As for the other elders, even if they raised their defenses, their shields were blasted open, and they were sent flying in all directions. Obviously, this was no longer the power of an ordinary self-explosion. With the addition of the hidden power inside, the effect was naturally different. It was a pity that they couldn't set up a formation here, or the power would be even more terrifying. Tianyan directly used his body to block it, and along with the terrifying explosion, he was all blocked outside. The power of this explosion was not bad, but it was within the heavenly god level, not above the heavenly god level. Therefore, they were all blocked outside. The little medicine fairy was well protected, and she was not affected by this terrifying power. After a long time, the explosion finally subsided. There were a few more cracks inside the hall, but overall there was not much of a problem. This medicine god temple had been reinforced, and it was reinforced by a god emperor. The power of this explosion was very terrifying, but against the strong reinforcement, it could only cause a few more cracks, and nothing was damaged. As for the statue, there was also no problem. The ancestor's statue must have been reinforced in all kinds of ways, so there was naturally no problem. Just like the temple, there were a few more small cracks, but not too big. On the other hand, many elders were blasted out, and basically all were injured. As for the drug god, half of his body was blown up. His cultivation was very strong, but without special preparation, half of his body was still blown up. Fortunately, it was not a big problem to be able to recover from this. In particular, the super strong healing light descended and quickly healed their injuries. The drug god's body recovered at a speed visible to the naked eye. The drug god's recovery ability was already terrifying, not to mention the addition of Tianyan's healing power. Father. After the little medicine fairy reacted, she hurriedly ran to the drug god's side to check on her father's injuries. Tianyan looked around and noticed that only he and the little medicine fairy were still standing in the room. The rest were all lying on the ground, looking a little too horrible to look at. Fortunately, only a small number were seriously injured. After all, most of the damage was taken by the drug god. At that moment, the drug god knew that he had to bear the damage, or the little medicine fairy behind him would be injured. However, Tianyan protected him better. Not to mention being injured, not even a hair on his body was injured. Chapter 1767. The violent explosion overturned the place and sent many of the disciples flying backward. Just a slight fluctuation was enough to send those disciples who were climbing the stairway to heaven flying down. Especially from the high stairs, they rolled down fiercely, looking very embarrassed. Fortunately, there was no serious situation. After all, it was just a little aftermath. As for those who were a little further away, They could feel the terrible explosion, which made them look at the medicine god temple in shock. Most people clearly felt a fierce vibration under their feet, but they didn't know what happened. What's going on? Why is there such a violent energy fluctuation coming from the medicine god temple? What happened over there? Yes, what's going on, but we can't go up and find out. What happened? Let's go back and see. Those who could go back immediately, those who couldn't go up could only stay below the medicine god temple and watch the situation. In the medicine god temple, the situation has become very bad. One by one, the elders got up from the ground. They are not worried about their injuries now. More of their faces are extremely ugly. It can be said that they are extremely ugly. Their hearts are also extremely angry. That is an extreme kind of anger towards the evil spirit race. Although it was not found out in the end, Yao Yuli directly exploded. There is no need to explain anything. It is clear that he was controlled and possessed. If not, why did Yao Yuli self-destruct? Moreover, he deliberately waited for the drug god to come over, and then exploded fiercely, blowing the drug god away. It is very obvious that the evil emperor knows that he can't escape. With so many elders and the drug god here, it is impossible to escape. Even if his original body is here, I am afraid that it will be difficult to escape. With so many experts here, how can he escape alone? For this reason, he immediately chose to self-destruct. Before destroying this body, he must seriously injure the drug god. A little wrong. Yi Tianyan shook his head. His plan was to surround a little more elders, so that the evil emperor can't escape even if he has wings. Who knew that the evil emperor had already prepared to self-destruct, injuring many elders? Of course, they were only injured, none of them died, thanks to the protection of the drug god. Otherwise, several elders would have been killed. After all, most people did not react, thinking that Yao Yuli was really very innocent. There would be no problem. Who knew that there was really a problem? If the drug god hadn't fought for those few seconds, they would have been finished. However, if Yi Tianyan hadn't gathered so many elders, the vile emperor would have been able to escape. Perhaps he would have been able to escape from this region and self-detonate. That would have been fun. The elders here could still hold on for a while. The disciples outside were all annihilated in the face of such a terrifying explosion. Therefore, such a situation was still within the acceptable range. Evil spirit race, I will kill you. Ah, I never thought that I would have been deceived by the evil spirit race for so long. It's all that damned evil spirit race bastard. The elders roared hysterically one after another, but it was meaningless. In their eyes, they were like defeated soldiers, nothing more than complaints. After being toyed with for so long, it was already enough of a failure. Most importantly, they had always believed in the divine decree of their ancestor, making them think that their ancestor was always by their side. Who knew that everything was fake, and that it was just a sinister method of the evil emperor. I really didn't expect that my wisdom would be destroyed in an instant. The medicine god leaned against the wall, his expression filled with a sense of vicissitudes, and even more so a sense of frustration. All along, he had followed his ancestors' instructions and remained neutral. Now it seemed that they were too naive. They didn't even know that their own elders were being controlled. This was undoubtedly the biggest failure, a complete failure. At this time, the medicine god no longer wanted to be the hall master. He felt that he no longer had the qualifications to be the hall master. He was inferior to his own daughter. In my opinion, you no longer have the qualifications to be the hall master. This position of hall master should be handed over to you. Siener, you are still a little more sensible. Even if the ancestor had such an order, you still chose to refute it. You are much bolder than me. I also want to send out experts to fight and exterminate those evil spirit race. The medicine god shook his head and sighed, feeling a little sad. In his heart, he did indeed want to bring all the experts out to exterminate the evil spirit race. However, the ancestor had passed down a divine decree, saying that they could not participate in the battle and could only remain neutral. At that time, how aggrieved was his heart, but in the face of the ancestor's divine decree, he could only choose to obey. Father, don't talk nonsense. You have been leading the medicine god temple well. If you hand it over to Siener, she will definitely not manage it as well as you. Siener knows that you are very sad, but things have already happened, and the Medicine God Temple needs your leadership to make up for the mistakes of the past. The little medicine fairy did not choose to become the hallmaster. She knew that she was not mature enough. The current Medicine God Temple still needed the Medicine God to oversee it, and even more needed him to preside over the overall situation. The mistakes of the past were in the past, and it was not too late to make up for it now. Sigh. The Medicine God sighed deeply again, turning his head to look at Yi Tianyan, who was constantly treating them. His eyes were filled with gratitude. If it wasn't for him, I'm afraid we would really be finished, and it would have ended in my hands. If the ancestor really comes back, even if I die, I will not be able to face the ancestor. If it wasn't for Yi Tianyan discovering the situation in advance, they would have continued to make a big mistake. In other words, the Medicine God Temple had completely become the evil spirit race's possession. The second battle of the Divine Emperors was coming, and if they still did not make a move, it was very likely that the evil spirit race would completely occupy this place. At that time, the Medicine God Temple would be meat on the chopping board, at their mercy. Yes, it's all his help. We owe him a great favor. The little medicine fairy now looked at Yi Tianyan in a completely different way. Her previous dissatisfaction with Yi Tianyan's infiltration had long since disappeared, replaced by gratitude. This was basically a life-saving grace, and it was the grace of saving the entire Medicine God Temple. After all, if they continued to let it go, the evil emperor would gradually control this place, and use the statue to convey divine decrees to them. When the war between the divine emperors began, they would also give them orders to go out and kill other divine realms. At that time, they would have to obey the orders of their ancestors, and they would certainly have to obey. There was no way to resist. It could be said that Yi Tianyan had changed everything, and changed everything about the Medicine God Temple in the future. Chapter 1768. While Yi Tianyan was healing them, the evil emperor let out a scream. The evil emperor covered his head and slammed into the wall. With a bang, a large part of the wall collapsed, giving the other evil spirit gods a fright. The evil emperor suddenly slammed into the wall. It was very strange. Lord Evil Emperor, what's going on? They gathered around, not knowing what had happened. Damn it, we lost the Medicine God Temple. The evil emperor crawled up from the ground, and covered his head with one hand. His face was frighteningly pale. It must be very painful to lose a part of one's soul, as if one's body had been torn into several pieces. We lost the Medicine God Temple? The evil spirit gods' faces changed. The Medicine God Temple was a big trump card for them. But now it was gone. It was a big loss. Yes, we lost the Medicine God Temple. It's the Tianyan Lord's fault again. Why does this guy always ruin my plans? It was the Heaven Creator's plan, and now it's the Medicine God Temple's turn. The evil emperor slapped the damaged wall next to him. With a bang, another large part of the wall collapsed. I lost such a powerful trump card. I wanted to ask them to help me clean up the other divine realms. I didn't expect it to be the Tianyan Lord. The other evil spirit gods were also furious. Yi Tianyan had ruined so many of their plans. Huan Mingyue was kidnapped, the Heaven Creators were rescued, and the Medicine God Temple's plan was ruined. These were all powerful trump cards, but they were all gone. The Medicine God Temple was their trump card. It could make them fight each other while the evil spirit race was fine. It was really a good deal. However, Yi Tianyan had freed the evil emperor a little later. The evil emperor wanted to rush to the divine realm of the three realms. However, the divine realm of the three realms had a shield, so he couldn't go in. He could only watch from the outside. Lord Evil Emperor, what should we do? The Medicine God Hall is one of our trump cards, a trump card that we can use to overturn them. Only then will we be able to conquer them with ease, the evil spirit god said. The evil emperor's gaze was extremely cold, and his pale face looked even more ferocious and terrifying. Evil emperor looked at the door outside and said coldly, "Let's continue with the plan. We were originally just a little bit away from success. Who knew that something like this would happen? Once everything is set up, we will immediately begin the next round, the God Emperor battle." I will lead my race and bathe this world in blood. When that time comes, only the 3 realms God realm will be left. I don't believe that the shield will always be there. Yes, Your Majesty. One by one, they immediately went to make preparations and busied themselves with various matters. The great battle was about to begin. With Yi Tianyun's help, the elders recovered one by one, and all of them were very grateful to Yi Tianyun. It could even be said that they almost knelt down in gratitude. Yi Tianyun had helped them see through such a traitor. How could they not be grateful? Heavenly Cloud Territorial Lord, please come in. The drug god had recovered. He got up and came to Yi Tianyun's side, motioning for him to walk into the main hall. Yi Tianyun nodded his head and followed them into the room. The drug god had now recovered more than half of his state. Although he had not fully recovered, it was not difficult for him to recover according to his own ability. However, the anger and grief in his heart now were more painful and more difficult to cure than these injuries. After entering the main hall with him, the other elders also came in. Other than a few who were more seriously injured, the rest followed him in. Every one of them had a grave expression on their faces, and they hadn't said a word since they came in. When entering the main hall, after the drug god sat down, he motioned for Yi Tianyun to sit down as well. When the drug god sat down, the rest of the elders followed suit, which was obviously a kind of respect for Yi Tianyun. This time, the Medicine God Temple is grateful to Heavenly Cloud Territorial Lord for helping to see through the evil Emperor's trick. Otherwise, we would have made more mistakes. When the God Emperor battle begins, I am afraid that we will be used as weapons. The drug god said with a serious expression. Heavenly Cloud Territorial Lord, this time you saved the entire Medicine God Temple. As long as you like something in our Medicine God Temple, you can take it as our reward. The drug god offered a sky-high reward. As long as it was not too excessive, he would give it to Yi Tianyun. For example, taking away all the spiritual herbs was too much. Even if he saved the Medicine God Temple, he should not be so excessive. In fact, this time, I am not here for the reincarnation grass, but to form an alliance with the Medicine God Temple. Let's form an alliance and fight against the evil spirit race together. Yi Tianyun said. I think there should be no difficulty in forming an alliance now, right? From today on, Heavenly Cloud Territorial Lord is our alliance leader, and the Medicine God Temple will follow his lead. As long as it is about the plan to fight against the evil spirit race, we will be the first to participate. The drug god immediately agreed and recognized Yi Tianyun as the alliance leader. It was not that the drug god was too straightforward, but that they had the same goal, so there was nothing to talk about. They directly formed an alliance and fought against the evil spirit race together. The rest of the elders nodded one after another, indicating that they agreed with the result of this discussion. That's good. There's nothing else for the time being. Yi Tianyun stood up, looked at them and said, Next, it's up to you to deal with things on your own. I won't stay here. Heavenly Cloud Territorial Lord, you haven't chosen the reward yet. Whether it is a 10,000-year-old spiritual herb or a 100,000-year-old spiritual herb, as long as you like it, we can repay you. The drug god also stood up and said, That's not necessary. I know that helping you see through the evil emperor is equivalent to saving the entire Medicine God Temple. Yi Tianyun said with a serious expression. Compared with this, I think you need these spiritual herbs more. After all, when the time comes, you will all have to contribute. If you really want to repay me, I hope you can refine more spiritual herbs and distribute them to other divine realms, so that the overall strength can be improved. 2 rays of light burst out of the drug god's eyes, and he looked at him and said in a low voice, Good. Since the alliance leader has said so, we will listen to the alliance leader's instructions. We will start to refine spiritual herbs on a large scale now, and the distribution will still be decided by the alliance leader. As for the other vassal forces, we will also join them, and we will also follow the orders of the alliance leader. We will not obey other orders. The Medicine God Temple had its own pride. Even if they did something wrong, they would only make up for it themselves, instead of apologizing to other forces one by one. Chapter 1769. Seeing the alchemy god's determination, Tianyan naturally didn't say anything else. He nodded and said, "Although you have to listen to my instructions, I won't give you too many instructions most of the time. Just follow your own decisions. I won't take away the authority that belongs to you." What they were most worried about was being completely controlled when they joined the alliance. This was undoubtedly the worst part. Now that Tianyan said this, they felt a bit more at ease. If Tianyan was extremely overbearing and controlled everything by himself, then that was obviously not what they needed. Now that Tianyan said this, they felt at ease. "We are very grateful that the Alliance Master is so understanding." The alchemy god smiled with relief. He thought for a moment and said, "Oh right, we are all controlled by the heretical emperor. I don't know if the subordinate forces are also controlled by the heretical emperor. Alliance Master, I'll have to trouble you to go to their places and help investigate. Is that possible?" "I'm very happy to do so. In fact, my allies have all asked me to investigate them, and I've found many who are being controlled. This is a very tricky problem that needs to be solved." Tianyan nodded. Even if they didn't ask, he would still want to help solve it. After all, this was a major issue. If an elder was being controlled, it would be quite serious. Then this will be. Let me take him there. I'll also explain the situation here to them, and let them join the alliance. At this time, the little medicine fairy stood up and planned to personally take Tianyan to those forces. The alchemy god glanced at his daughter, and finally nodded. "All right. You will lead the Alliance Master there." Tianyan also looked at the little medicine fairy. He originally thought that the little medicine fairy would stay here and be busy with various things. He didn't expect that she would personally take him to the other forces. In fact, this matter could be handled by any elder, but for the little medicine fairy to personally take action was a bit too much. However, since the alchemy god didn't have any objections, then he didn't either. In any case, it didn't matter who accompanied him. Soon the situation here was over. Since the little medicine fairy didn't have anything else to do, they could immediately set off. After all, it would take a long time for so many forces to make a round trip. Fortunately, the god of medicine temple had set up a teleportation array with them, so it was relatively easy for them to go there. They didn't need to fly there one by one, which would really waste a lot of time. "I didn't expect that you would personally bring me there. Actually, other people can come too," Tianyan said as he walked with little medicine fairy. "I came out for my own sake," Yizichin said. Little medicine fairy took a deep breath and said with a smile, "The medicine god temple has completely changed. I have to relax no matter what. Years of repression are finally over. Although there is a new hatred, at least it is not the old medicine god temple." "It seems that you're going to accompany me out for a stroll?" Tianyan said with a smile. "Of course, I plan to take a look at your faction. Would you be willing?" The little medicine fairy revealed an enchanting smile. "No problem. As long as you like, you can stay as long as you want." Tianyan shrugged. He couldn't wait for the little medicine fairy to live in the divine realm of the three realms. With her medicine god body, it would be absolutely amazing to cultivate spirit medicines. "That's an exaggeration, but I'm really grateful to you. I'm very sorry for my rudeness before." The little medicine fairy stopped and slightly squatted in front of him to express her apology. Tianyan reached out to stop her from squatting down. He said with a smile, "There's no need to be like this. I sneaked in and it's still rude. We're even. There's no need to apologize." "No, this is completely different. Please accept my apology, Alliance Master." The little medicine fairy insisted on squatting down and finally knelt in front of Tianyan as an apology. This was the greatest apology etiquette. A dignified heavenly deity doing this was naturally a very sincere apology. Tianyan was quite helpless and could only accept her apology. He knew that if he didn't accept, the little medicine fairy wouldn't give up. After apologizing, she stood up again and said with a stern expression, "It's about time. We should go check them one by one and get rid of them one by one." Private matters were over, so it was time for official matters. Tianyan nodded. He hoped that these powers wouldn't be too serious. Shortly after, The two of them went to the nearest power and easily arrived through the transportation formation. Then they began to check. They discovered that the power of this power was actually not controlled. After informing the domain lord of this place about the alliance, they went to the next one. After checking all of them, they discovered that none of them were controlled. Then, they checked all of them one by one. After checking all of them, they discovered that none of them were controlled. They were completely clean, and there were no important areas that were controlled. After Little Medicine Fairy brought Tianyan to check all of the powers, she couldn't help but ask, "Is there really not a single one?" There really isn't a single one. None of them were controlled. Tianyan was also a little surprised. He didn't expect that the heretical emperor didn't do anything. That's really strange. I thought there would be a lot of people who were controlled. I was going to get rid of them all. Little Medicine Fairy shook her head. This must be because the heretical emperor thinks that controlling the medicine temple is enough. After all, they all follow you. If you don't do anything, they won't do anything. It's like they don't control those elders at all. Tianyan thought for a moment and said his guess. So he didn't bother to control them, which led to this situation. Little Medicine Fairy thought for a moment and felt that it really made some sense. The medicine temple's order was the key, so it was meaningless to control others. As for the other forces in the divine realm, it was different. They were all independent existences and needed to be controlled. On the other hand, there was no need to control any of these forces. Controlling the medicine temple was equivalent to controlling them all. However, Tianyan had destroyed the heretical emperor's plan. It seems so. If you hadn't come in time, these forces that followed us would have really suffered together. Little Medicine Fairy was a little scared. When she thought about it carefully, she was really a little scared. When the war broke out, it was mutual suicide. They were all forces in the same world. Although they were different forces when facing foreign enemies, they were still on the same side. It was really tragic for their own people to fight their own people. Later, they were ruthlessly killed by the evil spirit race. By the time they realized it, it was already too late. At least in the first battle of the God Emperors, this situation didn't happen. Tianyan also felt a little lucky. Chapter 1770. After inspecting all the factions, Tianyan brought the Little Medicine Fairy back to the Three Realms Sacred Realm. The Little Medicine Fairy was not in a hurry to return. She planned to go to the Three Realms Sacred Realm with Tianyan to see this mysterious existence. The Three Realms Sacred Realm was too famous, so much so that they all wanted to see the truth. They wanted to see what the situation was like inside the Three Realms Sacred Realm. It was blessed by the heavens. Even the heretical emperor had suffered a setback, and a mysterious existence like Tianyan had appeared. Thus, they all wanted to know about the Three Realms Sacred Realm, including the Little Medicine Fairy. This was also the reason why she came. She wanted to see what the Three Realms Sacred Realm was like. At the same time, it was also a way to relax. She did not want to return to the Sacred Medicine Temple for the time being. That place had given her too much pressure. Under Tianyan's lead, they soon arrived at the Three Realms Sacred Realm. After bringing them in, the Little Medicine Fairy immediately wandered around, wanting to see everything inside out. As the Three Realms Sacred Realm was not very big, they could see everything in a short time. After looking around, the Little Medicine Fairy sighed. It seems that there is not much difference between the Three Realms Sacred Realm. It is even worse than some of the Rank 4 Sacred Realms. Even the Rank 5 Sacred Realms are not that far off. After saying this, the Little Medicine Fairy said awkwardly, "Sorry, I have always been too talkative. Don't mind it. I am very clear about the Three Realms Sacred Realms situation. But I am already very satisfied with the steady improvement. I just need to slowly improve." Tianyan smiled lightly and said, "I have so many powerful helpers and so many powerful allies. It is already very good to have such achievements." Of course, Tianyan knew about the Three Realms Sacred Realms situation. Even if they completed the mission and reached the Rank 4 Sacred Realm, there was still a huge gap between them and the other Rank 4 Sacred Realms. The gap was not in terms of experts, but in the cultivation environment and the layout of the various formations. The key was still the average cultivation of the disciples. They had to at least reach a certain level. Now that Yi Tianyun's side had low cultivation levels, Little Medicine Fairy would naturally say that they were weak. Indeed, the Sky Creator Clan and the Divine Spirit Clan are here to support you. As long as you have enough time, the Three Realms Celestial Realm will definitely be able to shake the world. The Little Medicine Fairy could also see it, but she was currently in a weakened state. Relying on a few experts was indeed very ferocious, but if those experts left, the ones left would be the weaker ones. It would be impossible for them to resist the experts. As a result, he still needed a lot of time to upgrade the three realms. For the time being, it was impossible to do so. Yi Tianyun knew this very well, and so did Shirshuiyun and the rest. What they lacked the most right now was not resources, but time. That was how it was when one's foundation was too weak. Compared to those newly ascended factions, the Three Realms Celestial Territory's growth rate was already quite terrifying. It could even be described as shocking. However, at first glance, those experts felt that he was very ordinary. He wasn't as strong as they had imagined. In the outside world, it was rumored that there were a large number of experts in the Three Realms Divine Realm. Otherwise, how could the evil emperor be defeated? In fact, it was very weak. It could only be regarded as a very ordinary force. It should be said that there were a lot of experts, but they were all experts who joined, not the original experts. Yi Tianyun smiled slightly. Looking at the many cultivators below, he was very pleased. Even if the current situation was relatively ordinary, for him, this was his force. No matter how weak it was founded by him. From the initial Jade Palace to the current level, it was already quite amazing. If it was any other force, it would be impossible to improve so quickly in such a short period of time. At most, it could only improve by a small level. What heavenly master, what heavenly god, it was impossible. Although the Three Realms Divine Realm could only be formed by others joining, at least it was qualified to let other experts join. Hey, you have a lot of medicine fields here. Little Medicine Fairy noticed that there were a lot of medicine fields on Yi Tianyun's side. These medicine fields were all managed by Yu Chui, and the overall situation was very good. It's not as good as Little Medicine Fairy, but it's much better than most of the Little Medicine apprentices. Yes, but compared to the Medicine God Temple, it's far worse, Yi Tianyun said with a smile. If you could compare to our Medicine God Temple, you would have already reached the level of 5th grade God Realm. Little Medicine Fairy rolled her eyes at him, then immediately smiled and said, "How about this? Let me help you. How about it?" "How?" Yi Tianyun narrowed his eyes. "I'll help you a little transform the medicine field here, so that you can cultivate spirit herbs with twice the result with half the effort." Little Medicine Fairy flew down with a smile, and without waiting for Yi Tianyun's permission, she has already thrown several kinds of 10,000 years old spirit herbs into the medicine field one after another. They were a little reluctant, but under Little Medicine Fairy's coercion, they could only pour their essence into the medicine field, and at the same time constantly transform the condition of the medicine field here. In the blink of an eye, this area of the medicine field instantly emitted light. The spirit herbs above began to reveal a faint luster, looking full of vitality. It was as if this medicine field had suddenly risen by several levels, and the effects were very different. With a single glance, Yi Tianyun knew that the overall quality of the medicine field was rising at a rapid pace. In the future, the medicine field's effects would be doubled with half the effort. The time needed to cultivate the spirit herbs would be greatly reduced. However, this effect would only last for a short period of time, and it wouldn't be permanent. After all, this was only the effect of a few 10,000 years old spirit herbs, which was equivalent to pouring their essence into the medicine field. This way, the spirit herbs could absorb it bit by bit. But after the spirit herbs were absorbed, the medicine field would return to its original state, and there wouldn't be such an effect. For Yi Tianyun, at least for this period of time, he could greatly increase the growth of the spirit herbs. "Many thanks, Little Medicine Fairy," Yi Tianyun said gratefully. "No need to be so polite, it's just a small matter." Little Medicine Fairy said with a smile. If you can stay here forever, that would be great. My 3 realms deity realm will immediately improve by a lot. Tianyan casually made a joke. It's impossible to stay here forever. After all, there is still the medicine temple to manage. But I can come to help you manage the medicine field from time to time. Little Medicine Fairy continued to speak, which made Tianyan happy. It would be great if she could come here once in a while. If that's the case, that would be great. Tianyan's eyes lit up. He knew that Little Medicine Fairy's promise was tantamount to repaying him in disguise. Chapter 1771. Completed Special Quest Win over Medicine God Temple. Received 100,000 Compressed Crazy Point. Completed Divine Realm Unification Quest. Received I Am the Alliance Leader title. I am the Alliance Leader. When leading many allies to attack, the overall morale will be doubled, combat power will be doubled, and healing effect will be doubled. At this time, the special quest was finally completed, and he received a series of rewards. The effect of this title is not bad. Tianyan's eyes lit up. Although it's only a 2-fold increase, it seems a bit insignificant. He has been increasing his cultivation by dozens of times. Only a 2-fold increase is obviously not enough, but this is the overall effect, it's different. It means that when he attacks with dozens of Divine Realm forces, these dozens of Divine Realm forces will have this effect. How can it not be terrifying? It is basically equivalent to doubling the effect. Next, Little Medicine Fairy began to busy herself. She was responsible for a little rest of the medicine field, and also taught Yu Chui how to cultivate the medicine field. Compared to Yu Chui, Little Medicine Fairy is naturally more capable. She can definitely manage the medicine field very well. If I can really live here, it will really be a leap. Tianyan looked at the busy Little Medicine Fairy. The effect of the medicine god's body immediately manifested here. The spirit herbs are dancing. They are very welcome to Little Medicine Fairy. This made Tianyan a bit envious. If he can have the medicine god's body, then he can take care of these spirit herbs. It will be a heaven-defying thing. All under his control. Think about it carefully. It is a bit scary. When he wanted to continue to observe, suddenly a message came, his face changed slightly, and quickly disappeared. The next moment he appeared in the special room, and naturally, he saw Huan Mingyue's cold eyes. Did you succeed? Tianyan was a little surprised. The overall time is less than 50 years. It has been successfully broken. It surprised him a bit. This time is beyond the expected time. Yes, it has been successfully broken. I completely got rid of that guy's control. Huan Mingyue did not have the slightest joy. This is not something to be happy about. From birth until now, there is nothing to be happy about, as if living in this world is a kind of pain. Looks like you can work with the sky creators to fill up the barrier. Tianyan was very happy that Huan Mingyue could break free from the control. This way they could fight together. That's not a problem, but there's a bigger problem now. Huan Mingyue said in a deep voice. After I broke it completely, I discovered that a portion of my memories had been sealed. Only by breaking it can I unlock all of my memories, the memories that were sealed by that guy. After hearing this, Tianyan's expression became solemn. What is it? Right now the evil emperor is just a small clone. His real body is sealed in a hidden region. Because the restrictions here are too strong, a body was created. Its true power is not inferior to the evil spirits. In fact, it is even stronger than the evil spirits. When Huan Mingyue said this, Tianyan's expression became even more serious. As expected, this was a very serious matter. He did not expect that the evil emperor he had been fighting against was just a clone. The clone was already so terrifying. What would the real body be like? Even stronger than the evil spirits. Tianyan recalled the power of the evil spirit's pearl. Just one pearl was already very terrifying. If all of them were gathered together, it would definitely be even more terrifying. Now that the evil emperor was even stronger than the evil spirits, wouldn't that be a huge crisis? Yes, even stronger than the evil spirits. Now they are making arrangements in all aspects to suppress the power of this world, so that his real body can appear. Then, the real battle between god emperors will begin. Huan Mingyue said in a deep voice. Does that mean that the evil spirits are not going to save them? Yi Tianyin frowned. They will definitely save them, but I don't know when they will act. Now that I have recovered my memories, this is all I can remember. That power is really very terrifying. Huan Mingyue's expression was serious. This was not something that could be done casually. Then do you know where it is sealed? Yi Tianyin's gaze was fierce. Destroying it in advance had always been his plan. I don't know. It's just a very short memory. I can only say that they did not clean it enough. It seems that this guy does not even want the people around him to know where his real body is. Huan Mingyue shook his head. If only he could know. It would be best if he could destroy it before it descended. No wonder the evil emperor has always been so confident. So this is his confidence. Yi Tianyin thought of the evil emperor's anger, and all the things he had endured. It seemed that everything was for the sake of waiting for his real body to appear. There was too little meaning to explode now. His real body could not come out. If they fought, the difficulty would greatly increase. Once his real body came out, he would not dare to say that he could completely suppress them, but at least his chances of winning would greatly increase. Yes, this is his confidence, the confidence to conquer this world. Huan Mingyue said in a deep voice. However, we still have to be wary of the situation with the evil spirit's pearl. The evil spirits are a big problem in the end. If it is snatched away, it will be a very troublesome problem. The evil emperor's real body is already troublesome enough. If the two of them join forces, Yi Tianyin nodded. He did not even need to think about it to know how terrifying it was. Originally, the evil spirits were enough to make them suffer. Now that there was the evil emperor, it was definitely heaven-defying. Perhaps the other parts will be snatched away, but mine will not be snatched away. Yi Tianyin was confident that he could protect the evil spirit's pearl. As for the other forces, it was really hard to say. Just as he was about to continue speaking, an urgent news came. Heaven Cultivation God Realm and Yuelong God Realm were attacked by the evil spirit race. They have already started to openly snatch it? These two God Realms both had the evil spirit's pearl. Now that they were being attacked, there was no doubt that they were targeting the evil spirit's pearl. What's wrong? Huan Mingyue immediately realized something from Yi Tianyin's expression. Could it be that they have started to attack? Yes, let's hurry over and provide reinforcements. I did not expect them to move so quickly. It seems like the battle between the God Emperors is really about to start. Yi Tianyin's expression was grim. He immediately moved out with Huan Mingyue. Then he immediately gave orders to the other powerful beings to prepare for reinforcements and immediately head over to the two God Realms to provide reinforcements. In an instant, the Heaven Creator race and the other God Realms were all mobilized. When the other God Realms received the request for reinforcements, they immediately set off to provide reinforcements. Chapter 1772. Yi Tianyin immediately brought a group of experts and instantly arrived at Heaven Cultivation God Realm. The defense of Heaven Cultivation God Realm is worse than Yuelong God Realm, so he brought people to support them first. As for Yuelong God Realm, the other God Realm lords will immediately bring people to support them. Therefore, there is no need to worry about Yuelong God Realm not having support. When he was teleported to the Heaven Cultivation Divine Realm, he immediately saw a large number of evil spirit race crazily attacking the Heaven Cultivation Divine Realm. Among them, a large number of evil god army turned into giant evil gods and attacked fiercely. Looking at the dense evil spirit race in front of them, it seems that it is really starting. This is something similar to Heavenly Divine Curtain. Yi Tianyin quickly noticed that this area is shrouded in dark energy, greatly enhancing their strength and weakening the strength of other cultivators. But compared to the real Heavenly Divine Curtain, it is a lot worse. The advantage is that the consumption is small, the coverage is large, and it can be improved a little. Yi Tianyin immediately released the experts he brought with him. When they came out, they were shocked when they saw the densely packed evil spirit race. The reinforcements had just arrived and they immediately rushed over. But in such a short period of time, the periphery of the Heavenly Cultivation Celestial Realm had completely fallen into the enemy's hands. Now the evil spirit race has attacked the inner areas, and there are heavy casualties. These evil spirit races seem to have gone mad, continuously attacking forward, completely unafraid of death. Such a crazy state scared them all. Even if the evil spirit race is crazy before, it is definitely not this crazy, one after another not afraid of death. So much so that the heaven cultivation god realm was broken, completely unable to stop them. In the state inside, the heaven cultivation god realm suffered heavy casualties. Go. Etienne's eyes are cold, and without hesitation, he exchanged for a set of equipment for himself. Successfully exchanged for Godslayer set. Godslayer set requires heavenly god realm cultivation to equip. After wearing it, you can transform into Godslayer at any time, can control 10,000 best quality heavenly Tao level longswords, and can use Godslayer sword formation, consumes 100 crazy point, increase power by 5 times, increase range by 10 times. The God-slaying set was the upgraded version of the previous version. It could control many Heaven Tao grade longswords. This way, it could really achieve the effect of slaying gods. Although it wasn't an Empyrean spirit treasure, nor was it an Empyrean level sword, it was still at the Heavenly Tao level. Most importantly, it still depended on who the wielder was. The stronger the wielder was, even if it was a Heaven's Path sword, it would be able to slay gods and Buddhas alike. Summon him. Etienne waved his hand, and more than 10,000 Heaven's Path artifacts immediately gathered around him. Even if they had owners, it would be meaningless. They would be swiftly controlled by Etienne. This was the perverse part of a set. Even if it recognized its owner, it would be meaningless. It was still forcefully sucked over and turned into his own. This meant that if he continued to improve, even Empyrean spirit treasures would be forcibly summoned to attack him. No wonder he could only control Heavenly Tao level treasures even at this level. If he could control Empyrean spirit treasures, wouldn't that be heaven-defying? If the opponent's weapon was sucked over, what else could the opponent do? This was the power of it, making the opponent have no weapons to use. Of course, there were still many restrictions. For example, the set could only control sword-type treasures, and not all levels of treasures. That would be heaven-defying. However, being able to control swords was already heaven-defying enough. Immediately, everyone saw a large number of swords gathering from all directions, surrounding Etienne. Kill. Etienne's eyes were cold, and he quickly sprinted forward. Along the way, the long sword kept flying, sweeping in all directions. Wherever it went, it was cut into countless pieces. Even the evil spirit race, who was not afraid of death, was scared out of his wits by the countless sword formations that were rushing over. Alliance leader is so powerful. They saw Etienne, who was leading the charge, killing countless evil spirit race along the way. It was as if he was harvesting leeks, wave after wave. In the blink of an eye, he had killed a wide bloody path. Even if those evil spirit races were not afraid of death, they did not want to be killed continuously. They could only flee to the side, but they did not flee outside. Instead, they fled inside. At the same time, they continued to choose the disciples of the divine realm to kill. It seemed that they had all been given a death order. They could only advance and not retreat. Even if they were all exterminated here, they could not retreat. Looks like none of you are afraid of death. Then let's all stay. Etienne did not know what their plan was, but as long as he saw the evil spirit race, he would not hesitate to control his flying sword to kill them. With a sweep, almost half of the countless evil spirit races were killed. If it was any other expert, even if they could easily kill them, they would still feel a little powerless against the many scattered evil spirit races. They would need more time to kill half of them. However, Etienne was like a harvester, and a large-scale harvester at that, sweeping away almost half of the evil spirit races in an instant. Under his control, tens of thousands of flying swords were like tens of thousands of sky sovereigns, crazily rushing out. No one could stop them. Die. A black light flickered, sweeping away a large group of evil spirit races. When the evil spirit races felt this power, they turned their heads in shock and saw a familiar face appearing in front of them. Empress. What responded to them was another ray of black light that blasted them into smithereens. Huan Mingyue also joined the battlefield. Facing these so-called clansmen, he mercilessly killed them. Although his methods were not as heaven-defying as Yi Tianyun's, he was still much more ruthless than other cultivators. It seemed like she really had an extremely deep hatred for the evil spirit race. He would kill as many as he could. At first, they thought that Huan Mingyue was an enemy. But now, it seemed that he was not an enemy, but one of their own. It was not only Huan Mingyue. Even the Heaven Creator clan were ruthless and merciless, killing without mercy. It could be said that they were a group of madmen. A group of madmen who were crazy for revenge. Under this group of madmen's battle, the battle quickly ended. The evil spirit race was completely annihilated. Not a single evil spirit race was still alive. They had all been turned into pieces or corpses. Is it over? When Yi Tianyun saw the corpses all over the ground, he immediately felt that something was wrong. At that moment, he saw streams of black qi floating up from the corpses and enveloping the area. It was getting denser and denser, and at the same time, it was also enveloping other areas. This thing. Yi Tianyun's expression changed. This felt like the heavenly god screen, but it was even more thorough. Chapter 1773. Could this be one of the plans? Did the evil emperor do this on purpose? Yi Tianyun saw the black energy continuously surging into the void, and then like paint, it continuously stuck to the void, causing the originally pitch-black void to become even darker. At the same time, a thick layer of darkness was continuously filling up the void, giving him a very bad premonition. Especially the suppressed energy that was transmitted down. It made him feel that it was extraordinary. The most important thing was that he was unable to purify it. It should be said that it was very difficult to purify it. No matter what he did, it was difficult to purify it easily. This was like an extremely stubborn paint that was stuck to the surface. If he wanted to remove it, he would have to spend a lot of effort. It would be fine if it was a small scale, but now it was a large-scale coverage, and it was spreading even further, as if it was going to envelop the entire divine realm. Did you sense it too? Huan Mingyue flew to Yi Tianyun's side and said with a serious expression, "This is the black blood baptism. All of the energy in the bodies of the evil spirit races that have been killed will be released, and it will be difficult to remove. As more and more of this area is enveloped, this place will completely become an area that is extremely suitable for the evil spirit race to live in, which also means the power of the evil emperor's main body can be completely released here." Yi Tianyun's face darkened. Just as he had thought, as long as this continued, the power of the evil emperor and the others would be completely unleashed. It could be said that the evil spirit race had always been suppressed in this world, and they were unable to unleash more than half of their strength. Once they were completely released, a single evil spirit race would be able to fight against several cultivators. It was already terrifying enough to be suppressed, but now that they could become even stronger, it was extremely terrifying. In that case, the evil emperor's main attack now has the purpose of courting death? Yi Tianyun looked at the sky that was getting darker and darker, and the ominous premonition in his heart was getting stronger and stronger. To the evil emperor, these evil spirit races are nothing more than ants. If they die, then they die. Even if they die, they can still sacrifice their lives to envelop this area, so that they can unleash all of their power and not be suppressed. Huan Mingyue said in a deep voice, "Courting death is only one of them. The other is to obtain the evil spirit's orb. It'd be best if we can get the evil spirit's pearl. If we can't, then we'll have to sacrifice our lives. That's really a big move. Based on this situation, what area can it cover?" Yi Tianyun looked at the darkness spreading in all directions. He couldn't estimate how far this thing could cover. Based on the number of people we've killed before, we should be able to cover at least a few god domains. If we include the situation at Yuelong's god domain, I'm afraid we'll be able to cover even more, Huan Mingyue said in a deep voice. Is there no way to quickly get rid of this black mist? Yi Tianyun asked. Yes, there is. It's an extremely powerful light attribute that can be fiercely restrained. However, the effect of the light attribute had to be at least at the 8th or 9th grade level. Otherwise, the effect would be negligible. After all, they gave up their lives. The stickiness is quite shocking. It won't be easy to get rid of it. Huan Mingyue suggested a solution, but it made Yi Tianyan feel even heavier. Even the light cores in the Three Realms God domain didn't have such a powerful level of power at the 8th or 9th grade. It wasn't that easy to reach this level. Light attribute cores were already extremely rare. It was needless to say how difficult it was to reach the 8th or 9th grade. Where can we find a light attribute core at the 8th or 9th grade? Yi Tianyan shook his head. It was as good as not saying anything. It's indeed difficult to find. That's why I said it's very difficult to deal with. Huan Mingyue's gaze was cold as he said. We can only pray that it spreads slightly smaller. Otherwise, we can only find other solutions. Currently, this is the only one I know of. I don't know anything else for now. Forget it. Let's go and support Yuelong's God domain first. Yi Tianyan waved his hand and quickly teleported them to Yuelong's God domain. There was no time to lose. They could only rush over quickly. After teleporting, they immediately arrived at Yuelong's God domain. The moment they arrived, they saw the densely packed evil spirit race. They had practically surrounded Yuelong's God domain. Without a doubt, Yuelong's God domain had been breached. More than half of the originally indestructible defense had been destroyed just like that, and the internal fighting had already begun. At the same time, there were other God domain reinforcements. They had already rushed over and started fighting with the evil spirit race who were not afraid of death. It was quite troublesome to encounter the evil spirit race who were not afraid of death. Under such circumstances, many cultivators were truly afraid. The ones who were most afraid of fighting were those who were not afraid of death. They were not even afraid of being beaten or slashed. In the end, they even hugged each other and died together. How could they not be afraid? Even if they were attacked, when they were about to die, they would self-destruct or drag a few down with them. Fortunately, many cultivators still tried their best to resist. Even if they were afraid of this group of lunatics, they could only resist. After all, if they did not resist, then when the evil spirit race occupied this area, they would not be in a good state. Looks like Yuelong's God domain can still defend a few batches. Yi Tianyan rushed over and once again activated his god-slaying set. His flying sword crazily harvested in all directions, his speed even more astonishing than before. As he harvested, his experience increased greatly. It could be said that it was jumping crazily. From the looks of it, leveling up to a god stage shouldn't be a problem. Previously, when he harvested a large group of evil spirit race S, coupled with the superposition of the experience card, his experience exploded in an instant. It was enough for him to level up to the late stage of the inferior heavenly god. However, he was not in a hurry to level up. It was still the same old routine, show weakness. When there was no need to level up, he would not be in a hurry to level up. Instead, when he needed to level up, he would fiercely level up. With the addition of Yi Tianyan, many evil spirit races were immediately collected. The cultivators at the side all looked over in shock. They saw an existence that was like a god of death descending, crazily killing his way through the entire area. Wherever he went, a ball of black blood would scatter in all directions. In the end, there was no change. Just like before, most of the evil spirit races were harvested by Yi Tianyan. At the same time, they all turned into a black mist that enveloped this space. It continued to spread out in all directions, covering deeper and deeper, and becoming more and more serious. I've finally finished cleaning up this place. Yi Tianyan took a deep breath. Although killing was very satisfying and he could earn a lot of experience, when he raised his head to look at the pitch-black sky, the boulder that was pressing down on his chest did not drop. Chapter 1774. None of the other two divine realms fell. The evil emperor slowly opened his eyes. When he heard the news, he was very displeased and even a little angry. Yes, none of them fell. The main reason is that the Skycloud ruler is too domineering. He controls tens of thousands of flying swords, and each of them is terrifyingly powerful. They're all at the celestial venerable level. Along the way, most of the clansmen had been killed by him. It's safe to say that he can fight 10,000 people alone. None of us were enough to kill him. The elder who reported the news trembled slightly. He was extremely worried that the evil emperor would blame him. Although he wasn't involved, who could say for sure what the evil emperor's temper was like? If the evil emperor blamed him, the one who reported the news would have to suffer. That guy again. The evil emperor's gaze was incomparably cold. His ability is amazing. I expected it, but I didn't think it would be so easy. It seems that kid has made a breakthrough again. It's so easy to kill him. Well, it's fine. I can't get the evil spirit's pearl, but after a while, I'm sure that no matter what he does, it'll be a futile struggle in front of me. The evil emperor gripped the armrest of his throne and stared coldly ahead. Right now he wasn't angry, only a desire to conquer. He wanted to conquer the entire world and make all life in this world bow down before him. Soon. The more I kill, the sooner the war will come. The evil emperor's lips curved into a sinister smile. He looked frighteningly sinister. Lord Evil Emperor, when your true body appears, it will be the time of their deaths. Lord Evil Emperor is invincible. The elders below shouted one after another. They all knew what the evil emperor meant. All of this was part of the plan. However, it was a pity that they couldn't get the evil spirit's pearl. As for those who had sacrificed their lives, they didn't feel anything. The disciples of the Yuelong God domain cheered as well. They were genuinely happy that they had been saved. This feeling of surviving a calamity was simply too wonderful. However, they didn't know that this was only one of the evil emperor's plans. The evil emperor was using them to keep sending them to their deaths. While he fought for the evil spirit's pearl, he could dye the area black with his own blood and turn it into his own domain. If he could snatch the orb, that would be perfect. The remaining evil spirit race would continue to attack the other forces. In the end, they would just be sending themselves to their deaths and tainting this world. Hence, Tianyan wasn't happy at all. He used his appraisal eye to scan the surface, trying to find a weakness. The appraisal eye was indeed able to find out the weak point, which was that it required a light attribute attack of at least the 8th rank to destroy it. Another method was power, a power that could tear apart any void. By tearing apart this void world, it would be able to clear it out. However, this was as good as not saying anything. Ordinary tearing through the void was fine, but this void that was dyed black by the black blood was not so easy to tear through. If he wanted to tear it apart, he would need a terrifying amount of power. Most likely, he would need to reach the level of a half-step god emperor. With Tianyan's current strength, he could tear it apart, but the area was still too small. By the time he finished tearing it apart, who knew how many years it would take? 8th rank light attribute core. Where can I find it? Tianyan's eyes flickered, thinking about how to find an 8th rank light attribute core. This thing was too rare, it was really difficult to obtain. It was impossible for the outer divine regions to have it, and he didn't know where in the inner divine regions to have it. He was now the alliance leader, and all forces were under his rule. However, from the current information, whether it was the Medicine God Palace or any other divine regions, there was no such thing. Just as he was thinking about it, an urgent news suddenly came. The other divine regions were being attacked. It seems that they are really going to fight. Tianyan's eyes turned cold. Then let's fight. Since there's no way to stop them, I can only go along with it. No matter how many come, I'll kill them all and raise my cultivation. Even if the evil emperor himself comes, I won't be afraid. The next moment, he quickly teleported over to support the other divine regions. When he arrived, it was still the same as the previous forces. They were all surrounded by the evil spirit race and attacked fiercely. Soon they broke through the defense. A group of death warriors. They couldn't stop them even if they wanted to. Kill. Tianyan directly rushed up and started a fierce battle. The 10,000 flying swords were like a meat grinder, completely grinding them into a bloody mist. However, before he finished killing, another message came from the other divine regions asking for help. This time it wasn't just one, but several messages asking for help at the same time. Are they really going to fight? As expected, the battle of the divine emperors has begun. It hasn't even been 100 years, and it's going to descend for real. Tianyan roared and quickly swept over, crazily clearing the way. After clearing this divine region, He went to support the other divine regions. Although they were all in an alliance and would immediately go to support, facing a group of lunatics, it was quite difficult to quickly deal with them. Unless there was a very strong existence, it was impossible to get rid of them so easily. Even if it was the Jianfeng region master and the others, even if they could easily kill them, they couldn't do it as terrifyingly as Yi Tianyan. 10,000 flying swords were equivalent to the power of 10,000 heavenly venerables. That kind of killing speed was terrifying just thinking about it. However, there was only one Yi Tianyan. The other region master's killing speed was not slow, but compared to Yi Tianyan, they were still too far away. They were not on the same level. God-slaying set, this was no joke. In terms of group attacks, no one could compare to him. However, he still couldn't split himself and couldn't quickly support. The evil spirit race was really going all out this time. In the eyes of the other forces, they thought that the battle of the divine emperors had begun. However, they didn't know that this was just the beginning, of foreshadowing. Yi Tianyan didn't explain too much. No matter how he explained, it was meaningless. What he needed to do now was to get rid of these evil spirit race. And what he needed was more experience so that he could raise his cultivation. This was also the first time in history that he had killed so many evil spirit race members, and also the first time that he had obtained so much experience. However, as he killed more and more, his expression became more and more serious. He didn't know when the evil emperor's main body would descend. And where would he descend? The descending area is very likely to be in the cultivation heaven divine regions. Yi Tianyan made a rough estimation. The evil spirit's pearls couldn't be given up. The evil emperor would definitely descend to snatch them. After thinking about it, it seemed that after the matter here was settled, he would take advantage of the time before the evil emperor descended to collect the evil spirit's pearls of the other divine regions, and let him collect them himself. Chapter 1775. With the help of many forces, the evil spirit race was quickly cleaned up. Almost 10 forces had been attacked. The range of their attack was still relatively wide, covering almost the entire divine realm. Yi Tianyan was already clear on this point. They were fighting in a circle, and after they died, they would gradually spread out in all directions, eventually enveloping the entire divine realm. We've finally finished cleaning up this time. Yi Tianyan inspected the forces one by one, and saw that they were all heavily injured. The number of casualties was not small. He did not have 3 heads and 6 arms, otherwise the casualties would not have been so serious. This was war, and there would definitely be casualties in war. This was the beginning. If this continued, the number of deaths would be even more shocking. But this was reality, an unavoidable reality. The battle between the divine emperor would definitely descend. Unless the evil spirit race was completely exterminated, the battle between the divine emperor would continue. Or rather, even if they failed this time, there would still be a next time. As long as the evil spirit race still existed, it would continue. After patrolling around, Yi Tianyan returned to the camp hall that had been set up. The domain lords of the other forces gathered here all had solemn expressions on their faces. It was obvious that this battle had caused them to suffer many losses, and they were extremely furious at the evil spirit race. If it wasn't for the evil spirit race, how could such a situation have happened to them? Report the extent of the losses of each force. After Yi Tianyan sat down, he indicated for them to report the general situation and see what the details were. The heavenly cultivation divine realm has suffered heavy losses. This time, we lost 5 sky sovereigns, 1 heavenly god, and the divine lord. Yuelong divine realm, the losses are average. We lost 1 heavenly god, 1 sky sovereign. They reported their forces one by one, so that they could know each other's situation and plan who would be more important to protect. After reporting it one by one, the expressions of all the domain lords became even more solemn, and their eyes were filled with anger. That's roughly it. This time, the evil spirit race's attack was very sudden. However, I believe everyone knows that this is the beginning of the battle between the divine emperors. Yi Tianyan said in a deep voice. This is only the beginning. The real main character has yet to appear. However, according to the time, I reckon that it will appear very soon. That is the evil emperor's true body. The evil emperor's true body? They revealed puzzled expressions. They were not too sure about the situation, and Yi Tianyan did not explain it to them in detail. Yes, the evil emperor that we saw before was actually not his true body, but one of his clones. Due to his strength being suppressed, his main body was unable to appear. He could only wait for the environment to change before he could truly appear. At that time, his power will be fully unleashed, and his power will be more terrifying than the evil god. Yi Tianyan said solemnly. Changes in the environment? Leader, are you talking about the area outside where the black energy is constantly spreading? The Fecta domain ruler was more sensitive in this aspect and immediately noticed the changes in the surroundings. That's right, it's the spread of that energy. It was a bit like the heavenly towering divine screen. The area lords who had experienced it would definitely feel a sense of familiarity. It of evil emperor. It was an evil domain, and emperor domain 1. Is there no way to get rid of this? Someone immediately asked the key point. If you want to get rid of it, you'll need at least a grade 8 light attribute core to be able to do so. Yi Tianyan looked at them and asked, do any of you know where to get an 8th rank light attribute core? The domain lords looked at each other and shook their heads. They were all shocked by the condition. How could an 8th rank light attribute core be produced? There used to be 8th rank light attribute cores. But after the appearance of the evil spirits, the light attribute cores gradually disappeared. The Fecta domain lord looked at them and said, I think you all know where the 8th rank light attribute cores are. The domain lords nodded. The light attribute cores must be with the evil spirits. They were either stored away or destroyed. They were not allowed to be disturbed by the light attribute cores, so they were collected in advance, so they could not be found. There are no 8th rank light attribute cores, but there are 6th rank and 7th rank light attribute cores. The medicine god also attended the meeting. As an ally, he had to participate. The domain lords sympathized with the medicine god temple when they learned the details of the situation. They had been deceived by the evil emperor for so long, but the evil emperor was at fault, not the medicine god temple. Even if they had been dissatisfied with the medicine god temple, they should let it go now. The real focus was to unite against the evil emperor. 6th rank and 7th rank light attribute cores. Yi Tianyan narrowed his eyes as if he had thought of something. Then he said, well, who has a 6th rank or 7th rank light attribute core? Take them out. The more the better. I have a way to solve this problem. The domain lord's eyes lit up. They knew that their alliance lord had a solution. Next, let's talk about another matter, the heretic god's pearl. Yi Tianyan looked at the domain lords and said in a low voice, if the black energy is not eliminated, the evil emperor will undoubtedly come to the forces that have the evil spirit's orb. When that happens, the evil spirit's orb will become very dangerous. I have a suggestion, and that is to hand over the heretic god's orb to me for safekeeping. I wonder if you are willing? Yi Tianyan only mentioned 2 things in this meeting. One was the evil emperor's situation, and the other was the evil spirit's orb. Alliance Lord, if we hand it over to you, won't it be more dangerous? After all, you will have more evil spirits' orbs, and the evil emperor will immediately target you. Domain Lord Yuelong said. The realm of the 3 realms. Yi Tianyan replied calmly. It was a short sentence, but it was an unquestionable answer. It convinced Region Lord Yuelong wholeheartedly. As long as the evil spirit's orb was not taken out, even the evil emperor would have a hard time snatching it. Of course, even without the realm of the 3 realms, I still have the ability to keep the evil spirit's orb. Moreover, I have a special use for it. If I use it well, I might be able to restrain the evil emperor. Yi Tianyan's eyes flashed as he thought of the evil spirit puppets. If the evil spirit puppets collected the evil spirit's orbs and used the energy within them, they might be able to transform into evil spirits that could be controlled. Just thinking about the evil spirits and the evil emperor was exciting. It can restrain the evil emperor? They looked at each other in astonishment. This was something that he had never thought about. If that was the case, It would be a good thing. Then I am willing to hand over the evil spirit's orb. Me too. Domain Lord Yuelong and Domain Lord Xiaotian were both willing to hand over the evil spirit's orb. It seems that I will have to hand it over as well. I am convinced of the Alliance Lord's strength. The Fecta Domain Lord smiled and decided to hand over the evil spirit's orb. Chapter 1776. Once Etianyan mentioned it, they were all willing to hand over the evil spirit's orb. In the past, they weren't willing to hand it over, but now they were all willing. The main reason was that in these years, Etianyan had changed too much. Not only did he become their leader, but he also had terrifying power. Originally, they didn't hand it over mainly because they were worried that Etianyan wouldn't be able to keep it. Giving it to him was equivalent to harming him, so they didn't dare to give it to him. But it was different now. Etianyan was extremely strong, and could even fight against the evil emperor. Handing it over to him was undoubtedly the safest choice. Moreover, Etianyan had placed the evil spirit's orb in the god realm of the three realms. Even if the evil spirits were reborn, it would be meaningless. As long as the shield wasn't broken, they wouldn't be able to get the evil spirit's orb. Of course, the evil spirits couldn't be reborn. They were all sealed, so naturally they couldn't be reborn. If they could be reborn, why would they foolishly try to snatch the evil spirit's orb? Seal themselves? Many thanks for everyone's trust. This heretic god's pearl is of great use to me. You'll know in the future. When necessary, it might even be a trump card. Etianyan smiled slightly, maintaining a sense of mystery. The region lords didn't know what was going on, but they were still looking forward to it. All along, Etianyan had never disappointed them. Occasionally, he would even create miracles. After giving instructions, Etianyan immediately ordered them to collect light cores. As long as it was light cores, it was fine. As for the grade, the higher the better. Let's not talk about grade for now. They all carried a doubtful attitude as they began to collect, but didn't ask much. Since Etianyan had said so, they could only obey. Etianyan stayed in this temporary base, waiting for them to return. I hope it's effective. Etianyan's eyes flashed. This was all his own imagination. Not long after, the region lords all swiftly gathered the light cores and did their best to bring them over. Alliance Master, this is all we have in stock. This is also all we have in stock. We don't have much attainment in the light attribute, so this is a little shabby. This is a level 6 light core. I've searched everywhere, but this is the only one I could find. All of the region masters enthusiastically took out all of their trump cards, not holding back in the slightest. Under such circumstances, being stingy would be courting death. Although they didn't know what Etianyan wanted to do, they were sure that he wanted to get rid of the pitch-black energy. However, it was strange that he didn't care about the grade of the energy. Etianyan collected them one by one. The highest grade was only the 7th grade, and there wasn't a single 8th grade one. Even the lowest grade was 1st grade. It was indeed a little shabby. All in all, there were more rank 3 and rank 4 martial artists, and they could still find quite a number of martial artists of this level. Very good. It's good enough that we have it. Thank you all. Etianyan looked at them and said, be more vigilant now. The evil spirit race might attack again at any time. I'll go into seclusion first. After saying that, he went to the seclusion area, leaving the region lords looking at each other. They thought that they could see something, but it seemed like they couldn't. After Etianyan came to the seclusion area, he took out the space that stored the light cores. He had collected so many light cores so naturally, he wanted to fuse them. He had the fusion system. If he fused them, he might be able to forcibly synthesize an 8th grade core. Therefore, no matter how many grades of light cores there were, he had to fuse them. Although this was a little wasteful, at this point he couldn't care less about whether it was wasteful or not. An 8th grade core was far better than a bunch of low-grade cores. Let's start fusing. I hope that this pile of things can help me successfully synthesize an 8th grade light core. Etianyan glanced at the pile of light cores and started to fuse them. He immediately activated the fusion system mode and used his own 7th grade light core as a benchmark. Then, he crazily smashed the light cores in. Successfully fused 7th grade light core. 7th grade light core strengthened by 1 level. Successfully fused 6th grade light core. 7th grade light core strengthened slightly. Successfully fused 5th grade light core. 7th grade light core strengthened slightly. Success. Piles of light cores began to fuse at a crazy speed. The light core in his body began to strengthen continuously. After smashing it in, it strengthened slightly, and the luster on the surface became slightly stronger. If this continued, the luster would only get higher and higher. It was obvious that it was getting stronger and stronger. If this continued, it would definitely be able to strengthen its core to the 8th grade. The premise was that this pile of light cores could really successfully upgrade the 7th grade core. The lower the grade, the smaller the effect was, almost only a little bit. However, he didn't give up. Instead, he kept smashing the light cores in. He believed that he would be able to upgrade it. If he couldn't upgrade it, he could only buy light cores. Of course, he could buy light cores. But he must first throw them into the shop, and then sell them once, then the light cores will appear in the shop. This is the simplest and most crude method, but the price is extremely high. Crazy point. It definitely needs to be a very high value. For example, if he sells it at most 100 compressed crazy point, if he wants to buy it back, he will need more than 10,000 compressed crazy point. In other words, 100 times the level. The price is extremely high, he can't keep on copying it. If the price is extremely low, then he will really explode. His crazy point is not low. If he threw an Empyrean spirit treasure, and then bought a lot of it, wouldn't he be able to upgrade a lot? Or throw in all kinds of precious 10,000 years spirit herbs, and then buy a lot of them? The answer is no, the extremely high price, so that he can only buy a small part at most, and then all his crazy point will be empty. Unless he really has too much crazy point, he really doesn't dare to waste it. At present, it seems that his crazy point is still not enough. Some divine skills or bloodline, he doesn't dare to upgrade it. Upgrading is basically a lot of deficit. It's better to save it for a critical time. There is one last 7th grade core left. The last thing Etianyan took was a 7th grade light core. The light core in his body has been emitting a dazzling white light. It seems that it can be upgraded by a little bit. With this 7th grade core, I should be able to upgrade it. Etianyan kept such a 7th grade core, in fact, to throw it into the shop and sell it, and then buy it again. Now it seems that it should have reached the limit. It should be able to upgrade it. But he really can't guarantee it. After all, the appraisal, I can't see how much can be upgraded. Let's take a gamble. Chapter 1777. Etianyan feels that it should be enough. He doesn't want to throw it into the store and then buy it back. This means that he will lose a lot of money, which is really not what he wants to see. He calculated a little. If he does this, his crazy point will definitely be in deficit. One must know that he killed so many evil spirit race this time. He must have gained a lot of crazy point, but in the face of the 7th level light core, it still seems to be stretched. Immediately, he gritted his teeth and slammed the 7th level light core in. And then the light core began to bloom with dazzling light. Ding! Congratulations to player Etianyan. Successfully upgraded the 7th level light core to 8th level light core. Accompanied by a crisp and sweet sound, Etianyan successfully upgraded the 7th level light core to 8th level. The 7th level light core in his body immediately bloomed with more dazzling white light, and soon upgraded into a smaller, but the energy is compressed to a more amazing level. It still looks like the white light is shining, but it is more dazzling than before, more transparent and amazing. This is the 8th level core. It really succeeded. Etianyan was happy. He felt that it was just a little bit away, but he felt that there should be no problem if he tried a little. Now it seems that there is really no problem. He successfully upgraded it. If that's the case, it won't be difficult to upgrade the other cores. Etianyan thought of other cores. The grade is relatively low. If they can be upgraded, then his own strength will improve a lot. Now that the light core has been upgraded, it makes him feel that his strength has been greatly improved, especially in the light attribute cohesion. Whoever plays with the light attribute in front of him is courting death. Let's try the effect of this 8th level light core first. Etianyan is a little excited. He just doesn't know the effect of the 8th level light core. This is the first time he has an 8th level light core. The effect should be very good. Immediately, he flew out, and soon came to the outermost area. The dark energy outside shrouded the outside even darker. A wave of pressure came head-on, making him feel a little uncomfortable. This discomfort is not causing him any pressure, but a kind of discomfort. It was like the environment wasn't suitable for them to live in. It was impossible for him to stay here for a long time. It would make him feel uncomfortable all over. Of course, with his current cultivation, it would not be a problem for him to stay here for a long time. However, for other cultivators, especially those with lower cultivation, it would be difficult for them to break through. Changing the environment was very important. Once it was no longer suitable for survival, it would be impossible to break through. In particular, this pitch-black energy also had a suppressive effect, making it impossible for them to unleash their full strength. Many cultivators had discovered this situation, but they were powerless to change it. They could only endure this effect. Tianyan first chose the area above the divine domain, and then took out the 8th tier light core. In an instant, his body became as dazzling as the sun, radiating light in all directions and bursting out in all directions. The instant it blossomed, the pitch-black energy in the sky actually began to melt. The speed was not fast but rather slow. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it began to fade bit by bit, returning to its original color. Although it was still pitch-black, this pitch-black darkness did not give off any sense of pressure. Instead, it gave off a sense of intimacy. It's a little effective. Continue to open up. Tianyan shouted. The light core in his body opened up completely, and a light dragon whizzed out, devouring the pitch-black energy in a frenzy. This time, its speed finally increased. In the blink of an eye, it had devoured a part of the area. It was quite shocking. The effect is not bad, but the consumption is a little high. Tianyan was delighted. Although the speed was still very slow, overall, it was already very good. At least he could continue to destroy it. It was not like he could not get rid of it no matter what he tried. He continued to clear it. The many cultivators below all saw what Tianyan was doing, especially some of the region lords who had not left. When they saw this scene, they were dumbfounded, frightened by the scene. Didn't they say that there wouldn't be a rank 8 light core? How come there's one all of a sudden? This clearing speed is really fast. We've gone all out, but we've only cleared out a little bit at most. As expected of our nemesis light core. Yeah, didn't the chief say there was no 8th tier light core? How did it suddenly appear? It's just that according to this clearing speed, it's still a little slow. If only it could be a little faster. Isn't this fast enough? I could only clear a little bit when I risked my life previously. The chief's speed is already very fast. I should say that it's already not bad if he can clear it. They were still very surprised. Fortunately, they did not leave, so they did not miss this scene. The large-scale clearing of the black energy made them feel refreshed and happy. If this continued, this god territory would still be cleared. It was just that it was not just this area that was contaminated, but a large part of the god territory. A large part of the god territory was gradually contaminated. Some had already become very stubborn, and it was very difficult to clear it. Tianyan could definitely clear it here. It was just that the speed was very slow. It seemed that the speed was not bad, but if it spread to the entire god territory, it would be a little slow. It would probably take a long time just to clean up this place. This way, it would be another god territory that would take a long time to clear. In this case, I don't know if it will be cleared before the God Emperor battle begins. Cleared black blood, gained 1000 compressed EXP. Cleared black blood, gained 600 compressed EXP. At this time, every time a little bit of black blood is cleared, he gets different levels of EXP, which changes according to the concentration. It's just that the amount of EXP gained is relatively small, but if he continues to do this, he will definitely accumulate more EXP. Anyway, it's better than nothing. Even if it's mosquito meat, it's still meat. I can still get EXP, this is not bad, but the speed is really too slow, Tianyan frowned. If it was replaced with a 9th tier light core, it would definitely be faster. But where can he get a 9th tier light core? He can't buy a 9th tier light core even if he sold himself. Not to mention a 9th tier light core, he can't even buy 2 8th tier light cores with his current crazy point. When he was thinking about how to solve it, he suddenly remembered something: Evil Spirit's Orb. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.